Some days ago, in a moment nobody witnessed, you did something so small that you have already stopped counting it. You laid something down in private, a grudge, a demand, an old argument, and it felt like nothing, like a pebble dropped into a canyon that never answered back. Chosen one, that pebble is the reason this message found you today. You know exactly which moment I am talking about. It happened recently. There were no witnesses, no music, no sign in the sky. You simply did the quiet thing, and then you went back to your dishes or your driving, as if nothing in the universe had moved. But something moved. Heaven marked the hour, and there is one word that was spoken over your life in that exact moment. One single word that answers years of your questions. I am going to place that word in your hands before this message ends. Not now. At the very end, because you will only be able to carry it once you understand what you actually did. Here is what I can promise you in return for your time today. First, you will finally understand why your waiting season lasted this long, and why it never ended on any of the dates you circled, no matter how sincerely you prayed over them. The reason is stranger and kinder than anything you have been telling yourself in the dark. Second, you will feel something unbolt in your chest that has been locked for years. There is a difference between hoping a season is over and knowing it, and before this message ends, you will feel that difference in your body, not just in your thoughts. It will arrive quietly, the way the first warm day arrives inside a long winter. Third, you will walk away with something to do. Not a performance, not a program that collapses by Thursday, but a simple, daily way of standing inside an ordinary life, so that what has been opened for you does not quietly swing shut again while you are busy surviving. You will have steps, and they will be small enough to keep. Let me begin with the thing you have been doing to yourself, because it needs to stop today. You have been auditing your own waiting. You count the years, the way a prisoner counts marks on a wall. You review your old prayers like unpaid invoices. When another month closes without movement, you reopen the file on yourself and search for the crime that would explain the sentence. You have compared timelines. You watched people who started after you arrived before you, and you clapped for them with a hand that was shaking. You told yourself that God must operate some kind of waiting list, and that your name kept sliding down it every time you failed to be grateful enough, disciplined enough, spiritual enough. And here is the first crack of light. Waiting seasons do not run on calendars. They do not end because enough time has been served, which is why every date you circled came and went and quietly embarrassed you. They end when something specific happens. They end by trigger, the way a lock ends by a key and not by the passing of winters. I am not going to give you the full name of that trigger yet, because you need to see the whole machine before the name will hold its weight. For now, hear only this much. The trigger is almost always small. It is almost always private, and the person who pulls it almost never feels anything at the moment they pull it. It registers in another realm long before it registers in their chest, which means something that should take 100 pounds off your shoulders right now. The length of your wait was never a verdict on your worth. You were not being punished by the clock. You were standing in front of a lock, and nobody ever told you that locks do not care how long you stand there. They do not respond to tears or to time. They respond to one motion. And recently, without ceremony, without even noticing, you made that motion. That is the claim of this entire message, and I do not expect you to believe it yet. I only ask you to stay long enough to test it, because by the end you will be able to point to the exact act, name it, and understand why heaven counted it as the turning of a key. If your heart is already leaning forward, I want you to do something before you feel ready, because some things are declared first and felt second. Go to the comments and write 4 words. The waiting is over. Write it as a declaration, not a wish. Later in this message, you will understand why I asked you to write it with that kind of certainty, and you will be glad the words are already sitting there with your name beside them. Some declarations are seeds. You plant them before the season changes, and the season changes because they were planted. Now, before I show you the lock and the key, I need to make sure this message is actually for you, because it is not for everyone. There are signs that mark the person who has already pulled a trigger without knowing it. Listen closely and check yourself against them honestly, without flattering yourself and without dismissing yourself. Both errors will cost you. Here is the first sign. In the days after your quiet moment, stillness has been visiting you at strange hours. Short windows of calm that make no sense given your circumstances. The bills did not change. The silence from that person did not change. And yet twice, maybe 3 times, you caught yourself breathing all the way down to the bottom of your lungs for no reason you could name. That calm is not denial. Denial feels like effort, like holding a door shut with your shoulder while the wood groans. This felt like weather arriving from somewhere else, unearned and unexplained. Mark it. We will come back to what that stillness actually is, because it is one of the most misread signals in the entire spiritual life, and almost everyone throws it away. Here is the second sign. Things you used to chase with a desperate grip have gone strangely quiet in you. The scrolling for answers at midnight, the rehearsing of conversations that never happen, the need to check on people who hurt you just to confirm they are thriving without you. Somewhere in the last stretch of days, your fingers loosened without your permission. You may have wondered if you were going numb or giving up, because this looseness is unfamiliar. You are not numb. Numbness is a wall that keeps everything out. What you feel is more like a hand that finally stopped strangling a rope because the rope began holding itself. Keep that image of the rope. It is going to matter more than almost anything else I say today. Here is the third sign, and it is the strangest one. Lately, the world keeps handing you the same small picture over and over. Doors, keys. The word soon showing up in conversations that have nothing to do with you. A song about mourning after a long night, playing twice in 1 week from 2 different directions. You noticed, and then you told yourself you were being sentimental. I want to be careful here, because I will not build your hope on coincidences, and neither should you. Signs do not prove anything by themselves. But there is a pattern the old writers knew well. When a season is about to change, the soul starts recognizing its own story everywhere it looks. The way a woman who is expecting suddenly sees cradles in every shop window. The cradles were always there. Her eyes changed. Something changed your eyes recently. That is worth sitting with, because eyes do not change while a person is still locked in a season. They change when the person has already stepped, even by 1 inch, into the next one. And an inch across a threshold is still across the threshold. Here is the fourth sign, and this one lives in your body. There has been a loosening in your chest, right at the place where you used to feel the clamp. You know the clamp I mean. The flat band of pressure that arrived every morning about 4 seconds after you woke. The one that reminded you of everything unresolved before your feet even found the floor. For years that clamp was your alarm clock. And then, on one recent ordinary morning, you woke and it was late. It still came, but it came slower, softer, like a guard who has been told the prisoner is scheduled for release and no longer sees the point of the full routine. You noticed the gap. You did not trust it. That distrust is normal. It is also no longer necessary. Here is the fifth sign, and if none of the others found you, this one will. You almost did not click on this message. Something in you has grown allergic to hope, because hope has a cost, and you have paid it too many times. And yet here you are, several minutes deep, chest slightly tight, feeling strangely and specifically addressed. That feeling has a name, and the name is not coincidence. A message like this one is a net cast over deep water. Most people slide through it and feel nothing, and that is fine. It was not woven for them. But every so often the net closes around one person at the exact hour they needed surrounding. If you feel the net right now, gently, like a hand on the shoulder rather than a trap, then stop negotiating with the feeling. You are the one this was woven for. And now I want to do something I will only do 3 times in this entire message, because it is not a thing to be done casually. I want to step aside and let the words come the way a father would say them, first person, close to the ear. If God were to lean into this exact moment of your life, I believe it would sound like this. My child, I saw it. I saw the moment you thought was nothing. The room was ordinary, and your voice was barely a voice. But the sound of that surrender reached me like thunder rolling across water. You did not feel powerful. You felt tired, and maybe a little foolish. But I am telling you now, the thing you laid down that day shook something loose that years of striving never touched. I did not look away. I have not looked away since. Let those words settle where they need to settle. And now let me show you the machinery underneath them, because comfort without understanding fades by morning. Are you in 10 years? Let us name your actual symptom precisely, because precision is where freedom starts. It is not just that you have waited a long time. It is what the waiting has been doing to your mind. You hear about someone else receiving the very thing you have been asking for, and you smile, and you mean the smile, and then you sit in your car in a parking lot afterward and feel a grief so specific it frightens you. You have started bargaining in reverse. Instead of asking for the door to open, you ask smaller and smaller questions. Just tell me if it is still coming. Just tell me if I missed it. Just tell me if it was ever real. The shrinking of your prayers is the symptom, not the absence of faith, the exhaustion of unexplained distance. And you have explained that distance the only way a sincere heart can. You decided it must be about you, some failure, some disqualification, some test you did not pass. You call it being realistic. You even call it humility. I need you to hear what I am about to say without softening it. That explanation is not humility. It is simply wrong. If the delay were about your performance, then the delay would have flinched every time your performance improved. But you have watched yourself grow, forgive, mature, endure, and the door did not move an inch for any of it. That is your own evidence. The lock was never measuring your goodness. It was never measuring you at all. It was waiting for something else entirely. Here is the hidden mechanism, and I want to give it a name so you can carry it out of here. I call it the threshold lock. A waiting season is not a sentence handed down by a displeased judge. It is a locked threshold. And a threshold lock has one purpose that almost nobody understands. It does not exist to keep you out of the promise. It exists to hold the promise still, sealed, protected, uncontaminated, until the one motion it was built to respond to finally occurs. The lock is not your enemy. The lock is the promise being guarded. Think about what a lock actually is. A lock is proof that something valuable sits on the other side. Nobody locks an empty room. The very tightness of your season, the very stubbornness of that door, has been quiet testimony this whole time that what waits behind it is worth guarding. Empty futures do not get locked. Yours was. And locks have a second property that changes everything about how you read your own history. A lock is completely indifferent to time. You can stand in front of a locked door for 10 minutes or 10 years, and the mechanism does not soften, because time is not its language. Its language is the key, one specific motion, and the whole thing that ignored a decade of your pounding turns over in a second. Now run your past back through that truth and watch what happens to it. All those years you thought were being wasted, or worse, being held against you. The prayers that seemed to bounce off the ceiling, the circled dates, the seasons when you did everything right and nothing opened, none of that was rejection. You were standing at a threshold with your hands full of calendars, and the door was never going to answer a calendar. You were not failing to earn the door. You were simply not yet holding the key, and here is the mercy hidden in the mechanism. The key was never a level of performance you had to reach. If it were, you would spend the rest of your life terrified of dropping back below the line. The key was a single act. Locks forgive everything the moment they are turned. Yours has no memory of how long you stood there, and neither does the one who installed it. So, what is the key? What kind of act turns a threshold lock? This is where I have to slow down, because the answer breaks the pattern of everything the striving world has taught you. The acts that end waiting seasons are almost never the loud ones. Heaven does not seem to respond to volume at all. It responds to a very particular kind of motion that I will name right now. I call it the quiet trigger. A quiet trigger is a private act of alignment that costs you something real and pays you nothing visible. A forgiveness nobody demanded. A surrender nobody heard. A refusal to retaliate when retaliation was sitting right there in your hand, loaded and justified. An obedience so small it embarrassed you even as you did it. These acts feel like nothing precisely because their entire weight lands somewhere you cannot see. And this is the part I need you to receive personally. You performed one recently. I do not know which kind it was, but you do. It is the memory that has been surfacing this whole time as you listen, the one you keep half dismissing because surely something that small could not be what all of this is about. It could. It is. That unimpressive moment was your hand on the key, and the key turned. Here is what I want you to do with that. One small act of agency before we go any further. Tonight, once, out loud, alone, I want you to name what you did, not to relive it, to acknowledge it. Say the words, I know what I laid down, and I know it counted. Agency begins with refusing to call your most powerful moment nothing. And if you already know exactly which moment I am talking about, seal it in the comments with 4 words. I turned the key. There is something else you need to know about time itself before we go to the river, because the whole wound of your waiting has been dressed in a misunderstanding about clocks. The old Greek speakers, the ones who gave us the language of the earliest churches, refused to use one word for time. They insisted on 2, because they knew 2 entirely different things were hiding inside that one English word, and confusing them is exactly how waiting people come undone. The first word is chronos. Chronos is clock time, calendar time, the tick of duration, the time that accumulates and runs out and gets measured in anniversaries of disappointment. Chronos is the time you have been counting. Every mark on the wall of your waiting was made in chronos. Every birthday that arrived without the breakthrough, every new year that opened with the same closed door, that ache is a chronos ache, the ache of watching quantity pile up. But the second word is kairos, and kairos does not measure quantity at all. Kairos means the appointed moment, the opportune instant, the second when the fruit is ripe, when the tide turns, when the door that no amount of chronos could budge suddenly stands in its hour. Kairos does not accumulate and cannot be counted. You do not get closer to a kairos moment by burning through more chronos, any more than you get closer to a lock opening by standing in front of it for more winters. Kairos arrives. It is not approached. Now hear what this means for the sentence that has been running through your head for years. The sentence that says, "It has been so long." That sentence is true in chronos and meaningless in kairos. And heaven, this is the point, heaven operates almost entirely in kairos. When the ancient promises speak of the fullness of time, of the day appointed, of the hour that no one knows, they are speaking kairos. The realm your quiet act landed in does not keep your calendar. It keeps appointments. And this rearranges the question you have been asking. You have been asking, why is it taking so long? Which is a Chronos question, and Chronos questions about Kairos events have no answers, which is why the asking has been slowly grinding you down. The real question, the Kairos question, is not how long, but what readies the moment. What has to be true, in me, around me, downstream of me, for the appointed hour to be appointed? And that question, unlike the first one, has been getting answered your entire waiting season, quietly, strand by strand, without your supervision. Think of the farmer, because the oldest teachers always reached for the field when they taught this. A farmer who has planted good seed in good ground does not stand in the field yelling at it about the calendar. He knows that a seed runs on its own clock, an internal one, sealed away from his anxiety, and that all the chronos in the world cannot make a stork arrive one day before its hour, and no delay in his feelings can hold it back one day past. The wheat is not late. Wheat is never late. Wheat is only ever ripening, and ripening looks exactly like nothing happening until the day it looks like everything happening at once. Your life since the quiet act has been wheat weather. I need you to see this, because the enemy of the waiting soul is not the wait, it is the misreading of the wait. Under Chronos eyes, the last stretch of your life reads as stagnation, and stagnation breeds despair. Under Kairos eyes, the same identical days read as ripening, and ripening breeds watchfulness. Same days, same silence. Two completely different people standing in the field, and the difference between them is nothing but which clock they believe. This is also why you must stop grieving the ages and stages the wait carried you past. I know what Chronos whispers about that. It says you should have had this at 30. It says the best years went to the waiting room. It says whatever comes now comes discounted by all it cost. Kairos knows nothing of any of that arithmetic. In Kairos there is no such thing as the right age. There is only the right hour, and the right hour has a strange habit of making the age it finds you at look, in retrospect, like the only age it could ever have worked. Sarah laughed at her own Chronos. Heaven was not consulting it. So from today, practice the translation. When the old sentence rises, it has been so long, do not fight it, translate it. In Chronos, yes, it has been long. In Kairos, it has been exactly the required length. Not one appointment missed, not 1 hour of the ripening skipped, and the fullness is now, which is a word you will hear again before we are done. You live in 2 times, chosen one. You were only taught to read one of them. Today, you became bilingual. Before we climb further, I have to tell you about something I discovered that troubled me for weeks, because this message would be incomplete without it, and because it concerns you directly. Everything I have said so far lives in the unseen realm, the realm of locks and keys and quiet triggers. But while I was studying all of this, I kept running into a different kind of evidence. Physical evidence. It turns out that long waiting seasons do not only test the spirit, they leave fingerprints on the actual instrument you think with. Researchers who have nothing to do with faith, people in laboratories who measure things, stumbled onto a discovery about what years of survival mode quietly do to a specific connection inside every human being, a connection you were born with at full strength. I read their findings and I sat back in my chair, because it explained something I had watched for years and could never account for. Why do so many people finally reach the end of a long wait, stand in front of an open door, and then find they cannot seem to walk through it at the speed the moment deserves? The door is open. The season has turned, and the person moves like someone wading through deep water. The answer is physical. Something in them got dimmed during the wait, not broken, dimmed. And there is a difference, and the difference is the whole story. I am going to open that discovery completely later in this message, including what was found about restoring the connection, because you of all people are about to need that instrument at full strength. For now, just hold the question. What if the wait cost you something you have not yet noticed losing? Now come with me to a riverbank, because there is a man there in the dark who has been waiting longer than you have, and what happens to him before sunrise is going to reorganize how you see your own recent history. His name is Jacob, and the river is called Jabbok, and it is the middle of the night on the worst threshold of his entire life. Understand where he stands. 20 years earlier, he fled his home with nothing, having wrecked his family through his own scheming. 20 years of labor in a far country, of being cheated by his uncle, of building and losing and building again. And now he is finally coming home, and word arrives that his brother Esau, the one with every right to kill him, is riding toward him with 400 men. Jacob sends his family across the river and stays behind alone, and the text says a man wrestled with him there until the breaking of the day. The old teachers understood who that opponent was. Jacob was not wrestling a stranger. He was wrestling the very presence he had spent 20 years trying to earn his way back toward, and the presence had come to him in the dark, on the far side of the water, before anything was resolved. All night they wrestle, hour after hour in the dust. No audience, no light, no progress you could measure. And notice what Jacob does not do. He does not win. You cannot win that match, and that was never the point of it. What Jacob does is refuse to let go. When his strength is gone, he hangs on with his failure. When his hip is struck and pain floods him, he hangs on with the pain. And then comes the strangest sentence in the whole account. The opponent says, "Let me go, for the day is breaking." And Jacob, exhausted, injured, 20 years past his last blessing, says the words that ended his waiting season in a single breath. "I will not let you go unless you bless me." That is when it happens. Not at any hour of the long night. Not after some quota of wrestling was met. The blessing releases at the exact moment Jacob converts his last remaining strength into a grip. He is renamed on the spot. No longer Jacob, the schemer, but Israel, the one who struggled with God and prevailed. The lock that 20 years of labor never touched turned in one moment of refusing to release. Now let me bring this to your door, because you have been living a version of that night. Here is your symptom, and see if I am wrong. The hardest stretch of your entire wait has been recent, not the beginning. The recent part. Lately, everything intensified at once. The doubts got louder, the setbacks got stranger. The temptation to finally just quit became almost sweet, like the thought of lying down in snow. And you explained that intensification the way anyone would. Things are getting worse, so I must be getting further from the answer. The night is getting darker, so morning must have been cancelled. Some of you concluded that the increase of resistance was proof that you had missed your moment entirely, that the door had quietly been given to someone else while you slept. That explanation reads the night exactly backward. Ask any mother who has given birth when the pressure was greatest, not in the early hours, in the final ones. Ask anyone who has watched a long fever break. The worst hour and the breaking hour are usually the same hour. Struggle does not intensify because the end is receding. It intensifies because the end is near enough to fight for. There is an old pattern of the soul underneath this that honest observers have described for centuries. The old life, the old identity, the old season does not fade out politely. It surges one final time at the threshold, the way a wave stands up tallest right before it collapses on the shore. The night wrestles hardest at the exact edge of daybreak. That is not a poetic flourish. It is how thresholds behave in the spirit and in the soul alike. Which means The recent intensity you have been reading as a closed door was actually the signature of an opening one, and it means the grip matters more than the victory. Jacob did not defeat the night. He outlasted it by one refusal. Everything you needed to do in this season has already narrowed down to that same single motion. Not winning, not understanding, holding on for the one turn that remains. I will give that final motion its true name a little later, when you are ready to see how close you are standing to it. For now, I want you to notice something about the blessing itself, because it hides the gentlest detail in the whole story. When daybreak came, Jacob limped. The struggle marked him, and the limp was not the price of the blessing. The limp was part of it. A man who has wrestled all night and walked away limping never again stands at a door demanding it open on his schedule. He leans, he trusts the leg less and the promise more. Whatever your weight has taken out of your stride, whatever softness or slowness it left in you, that is not damage disqualifying you from what comes next. That is the walk of someone who has been at the river. People who limp like that are the only ones who can be trusted with mornings like the one coming toward you. There is a word I need to put into your hands now, because it is going to change what you call the last several years of your life. It is a Hebrew word, one of the oldest words for waiting in any language, the word used when the ancient writers said, "Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength." The word is qavah, and here is what almost nobody tells you about qavah. It does not mean to sit still. It does not mean to pass time. The root of the word is a picture, and the picture is this: to twist, to braid, to wind strands together into a rope. When the old language wanted to say wait, it reached for the image of hands weaving cord, strand over strand over strand, until something exists that can bear weight without snapping. Sit with that for a moment, because it quietly overturns everything the modern world means by waiting. In your vocabulary, waiting is emptiness, a gap, dead air, between the request and the answer. In the old vocabulary, waiting is manufacture. Something is being made during the delay, and the thing being made is rope, and the rope is you. So let me give this its full name, because you have earned it. I call it the braided wait. Every day of your waiting season that you filed under wasted was actually a strand being woven in. The morning you got up and functioned with a broken heart. Strand. The year you kept your integrity while shortcuts paraded past your window. Strand. The 1,000 small evenings you chose not to become bitter, or became bitter and then repented of it by Thursday. Strand, strand, strand. You thought you were standing in a hallway. You were lying across a loom, and this is why the wait could not be shortened. Not because heaven is slow, but because rope cannot be rushed. A rope braided in a hurry unravels under the first real load. The length of your season was never cruelty. It was engineering. Something is coming that will hang its full weight on you, and you were being woven strong enough to hold it. Think about who gets rescued by a rope. Not the person holding it, the people on the other end of it. The braided weight was never only about you. Somewhere downstream of your life there are people, some you know and some you have not met, whose rescue requires a person who can bear weight without snapping. Every strand the delay added to you was added for them too. Your endurance has heirs. And here is the tender part, the part I suspect you need most. On the days you frayed, and there were days you frayed, the weaving did not stop. A braid is not ruined by a weak strand. The weak strand gets wrapped and carried by the strands around it. Your bad months were braided in right alongside your faithful ones, and the rope held. You are still here. That is not an accident of stubbornness. That is what woven things do. If that lands anywhere inside you, I want you to put 3 words in the comments right now as a testimony to the person who will read them tomorrow at 2 in the morning. The rope held. Write it for yourself and write it for them, because one of the strange economies of heaven is that your smallest testimony becomes rope for somebody else. A stranger you will never meet is going to hang on to your 3 words in a dark hour, and neither of you will know it until another life. That is how tightly the strands of the waiting ones are braided into each other. Now let us go back to the mechanism, because the rope and the lock belong to the same machine, and seeing them together is where your history finally makes sense. The threshold lock holds the promise still while you are being braided. The braiding determines when you are ready. But readiness alone, hear me, readiness alone does not open the door. Many people become ready and then stand at the threshold for years anyway, because locks do not respond to readiness either. They respond to the turn. This is the piece of the machine that explains the most painful mystery of your season, the mystery of the mature saints who wait longest. You have met them, people of enormous depth and proven character, still standing at doors. It never made sense to you if waiting was a curriculum, because they finished the curriculum long ago. It makes perfect sense once you see that the final component was never their growth. It was a specific act of release that the lock was tooled to receive. Some of the readiest people alive are simply holding the key without turning it, because nobody told them the small despised motion in their hand was a key at all. They are waiting on God for a thing God is waiting on them to turn. Which brings me back to you, and to the act you performed recently, the one this whole message has been circling. I want to describe the species of that act more precisely now, because when you see its anatomy, you will stop being able to dismiss it. Every quiet trigger, whatever form it takes, shares 3 features, and I want you to check yours against all 3. First, it cost you the version of the story where you were owed something. When you forgave that person, or released that outcome, or obeyed in that small hidden matter, you were not just doing a good deed. You were surrendering a debt you had every right to keep collecting. Heaven watches the ledgers of the heart, and the tearing up of a legitimate debt makes a sound up there that nothing else makes. Second, it happened when you were empty, not full. You did not do it from strength, riding some wave of spiritual momentum. You did it tired, unsure, possibly annoyed, with no sense of occasion whatsoever. That matters more than you know. Acts performed in fullness prove your mood. Acts performed in emptiness prove your nature. The lock was tooled for nature, not mood. Third, and this is the signature, you got nothing for it. No relief flooded in, no confirmation arrived. The person never knew or never cared. The heavens did not so much as clear their throat, and you concluded quietly that maybe it had not mattered. Chosen one, the silence after a quiet trigger is not the absence of a response. It is the sound of machinery turning somewhere too deep for ears. The louder the silence afterward, the deeper the mechanism it reached. Now I want to take you into a crowd, because the second witness I have for you is a woman whose name we are never told, and the thing she did in that crowd is the purest picture of a quiet trigger anywhere in the ancient record. If Jacob shows you the grip, she shows you the touch, and her story answers the question your heart has been asking since the moment I said your small act counted. 12 years. That is how long she had been bleeding. 12 years of a condition that in her world was not only physical suffering, but total social exile. The law of her day declared her unclean, which meant every chair she sat on, every person she brushed against, everything she touched was considered contaminated. For 12 years, she had lived untouchable in a culture built entirely on belonging. And the record adds a detail that should sound familiar to you. She had spent everything she had on physicians and was no better, but rather grew worse. Hear that. She did not wait passively. She fought. She paid. She tried every legitimate door, emptied every account, followed every protocol, and the condition ate her money and then kept eating her life. 12 years of doing everything a person can do. By the day this story happens, she has nothing left except one rumor and one idea. The rumor is that a teacher named Jesus heals people. The idea is so small, so almost superstitious, that she never even plans to speak to him. If I can just touch the hem of his garment, she says to herself, just the edge, just the tassel at the border of his cloak, I will be made well. She is not asking for an audience, she is planning to steal a miracle and disappear. Picture the scene, because the crowd is the whole point. He is on his way somewhere else, surrounded, pressed on every side, a moving wall of bodies. Important business is underway. A synagogue ruler named Jairus has just begged him to come save a dying child. Everyone is pushing, everyone is touching him. Dozens of hands, shoulders, elbows, the constant collision of a crowd in narrow streets. And through that chaos comes one hand, low, near the ground, reaching between strangers. One deliberate touch on the edge of a garment, lighter than half the accidental contact he had absorbed in the previous minute. Nobody saw it. Nobody could have seen it. In the ledger of that street, in the account any bystander would have given, absolutely nothing happened in that moment. And the text says that immediately, that instant, the fountain of her blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed. 12 years ended in the time it takes cloth to slip through fingers. And then the sentence that has stopped me every time I have ever read it. Jesus stops walking, turns around in all that crush of people, and says, "Who touched me? For I perceive that power has gone out from me." The disciples nearly laugh at him. "The whole crowd is touching you," they say, and you ask, "Who touched me?" But he keeps looking, because he knows something they do not. 1,000 people had brushed against him. One person had touched him. And the difference between brushing and touching was invisible to every eye in that street and unmistakable to heaven. Power does not respond to contact. It responds to the trigger hidden inside the contact. Now bring this home, because you are in this story more precisely than you realize. Here is your symptom. Deep down, you believe that acts nobody witnesses do not fully count. You would never say it that way, but you live it. When you do something costly and hidden, some part of you waits for a confirmation that never comes, and when it never comes, the act starts to feel unreal, like a payment that never cleared. So you have quietly concluded that the things you did in secret, the forgiveness in your car, the surrender in your kitchen, the retaliation you swallowed, must be sitting in some pile of unprocessed paperwork in the universe, seen by no one, therefore weighed by no one. You even have a spiritual explanation for it. Maybe God counts only the big public acts of faith, the ones with witnesses, the ones that cost reputation. That conclusion is exactly upside down, and this woman is the proof. Consider what the crowd around him was doing. Public contact, visible contact, loud contact, and none of it moved anything. Consider what she did. A touch so hidden that omniscience itself chose to ask the question out loud, and hers is the touch that pulled power out of him like water through a broken dam. The mechanism you have been missing is this. In the realm you cannot see, weight is assigned by intention and cost, not by visibility. A hidden act arrives there at full mass. Nothing is lost in transmission. The realm that received your quiet moment does not share our physics, where unseen things are lighter than seen ones. If anything, the old record suggests the opposite. It was the secret touch, not the public crush, that he felt leave his body as power. So run your history back through her hand, that thing you did recently, the one with no witnesses and no applause and no receipt. It did not vanish into the pile. It landed. It pulled. Somewhere, the moment your intention crossed the edge of the garment, something went out. And the only reason you felt nothing is that she almost did not either. One heartbeat of warmth in a body that had been cold for 12 years. The verification came later when he stopped and turned, and he is stopping and turning for you now. That is what this message is. You plan to touch the hem and slip away unnoticed, to do your quiet act and let it be nothing. But the pattern holds. The ones who touch in secret get called out of the crowd, not to be shamed, but because he refuses to let a daughter go home healed and still anonymous. He wanted her to know it was her faith, her touch, her move, not luck, not overflow, hers. Hear the words he gave her, because they are addressed to the hidden reaches of every generation. Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Your faith, your reach. The move you made counted, and it counted the instant you made it. And all the days since then, when nothing seemed different, was simply the space between the touch and the turning around. If you know in your bones that you are the one who touched and not the crowd that brushed, then I want you to write 3 words in the comments, and I want you to feel what happens in your chest when you write them. My move counted. Before we go to the third witness, pause with me for one breath and come into your body, because truth received only in the head evaporates by dinner. Notice where you are sitting or standing right now. Notice the weight of your hands, wherever they are resting. Somewhere in your chest or your stomach there is a spot that has felt tight since I started describing her 12 years. Just find it. You do not have to fix it. Now breathe toward that spot once, slowly, and as you do, say inwardly, it landed. The act landed. Let the breath finish all the way out. That small warmth you may feel spreading behind the tightness is not imagination. It is what a body does when it stops bracing against the fear that its most costly moments were wasted. Your body has been carrying that fear for you. It is allowed to set it down now. Stay in the neighborhood of that hidden touch a little longer, because there is a teaching underneath her story that the oldest sermon in the world states outright, and almost nobody actually believes it. It says, when you give, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. And then, the sentence that concerns you. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. Sees in secret, rewards openly. That is not poetry. That is a stated mechanism, and it is the mechanism your whole recent history has been running on. Notice the direction of it, because it is the exact reverse of how the world works, and you have been trained by the world. Down here, visibility is value. The seen act gets the credit, the seen work gets the promotion, the seen kindness gets the thank you card. Down here, doing something significant that nobody witnesses is universally understood as a waste, a tree falling in an empty forest. So your nervous system, trained down here, filed your quiet act under waste and has been waiting for you to agree. But the stated mechanism runs the other way. In that economy, secrecy is not a leak in the system. Secrecy is the deposit slip. The act done for no audience is the only act whose motive is pure enough to be weighed at full value, because every witness subtracts. Applause pays out instantly and leaves nothing on account. The hidden thing pays nothing now and compounds. Your recent moment, the one with no receipt, was not a waste of a good deed. It was the single highest yield transaction available to a human being, and you executed it without even knowing the rate. Think through your own history with this lens and watch old scenes change color. Every hidden faithfulness you ever wrote off. The times you covered for someone and never mentioned it. The money that left your hand quietly in years when you had no margin. The nights you prayed for people who have no idea, who may never know, who were carried through some hour of their lives by intercession they will not hear about until another world. You have been making deposits into an account you did not believe existed for years, and calling yourself poor the entire time. And now hear the second half of the mechanism again, because it is the half that is about to become your business. Rewards openly. The same economy that receives in secret insists on paying in public. This is one of the strangest commitments heaven makes, that the hidden season resolves into a visible one, that what was done in the dark gets answered in the light, that the woman who touched anonymously gets called out of the crowd, not for shaming, but for showing. The concealment was always temporary. It was storage, not denial, which means you should expect something specific in the coming season, and I want you to be ready for it, so it does not frighten you. Expect visibility. Expect to be seen again, after years of feeling like the most invisible person in every room. It may come as recognition arriving from directions that make no sense, doors opened by people who barely know you, favor that embarrasses your sense of proportion. When it comes, you will be tempted to call it luck or error. It is neither. It is the open half of transactions you made in secret, arriving on schedule, signed by the one who watched you make them. There is a warning folded into this teaching too, and because I am for you, I will not skip it. The same sermon that promises the open reward warns about the counterfeit version, the acts performed to be seen, the spirituality staged for the audience. It says plainly that such performers have their reward already, meaning the applause was the entire payout. The account is settled, nothing compounds. As your visible season arrives, and it is arriving, this becomes your new battlefield. The person who once did hidden things because no one was looking must learn to keep doing hidden things when everyone is. So build the habit now, in the quiet, while it is still easy. Keep one act per week that no one will ever know about. Not for the mechanism, not for the compounding, but to keep the muscle of secrecy strong, because that muscle is what kept you pure through the waiting years, and it is the muscle the coming years will test differently. The greatest danger of an open door was never the door. It is forgetting, in the light, the practices that were forged in the dark. You will not forget, the braid runs too deep in you now, but feed it anyway. Hidden things are how your kind of soul stays alive. The third witness is an old man standing in the holiest room he has ever entered, and his story exists for one kind of person only, the person who stopped praying a certain prayer years ago, the person who still believes in general, still attends, still worships, but who quietly retired one specific request because the hoping had begun to cost more than the having would ever repay. If that is you, this next part is yours. His name is Zechariah, and he is a priest in the days of Herod, married to Elizabeth, and the record introduces them with a sentence that should end forever. The theology that says delay means disqualification. It says they were both righteous before God, walking blamelessly in all the commandments. Blameless. And then the very next line. But they had no child, because Elizabeth was barren, and both were advanced in years. Blameless and barren in the same breath. The text refuses to connect their emptiness to any failure, because there was no failure to connect it to. They had prayed for a child through their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, and somewhere along the decades, quietly, reasonably, the way sensible people adjust to facts, they stopped. Not stopped believing in God, stopped believing in that. Now watch the machinery of the timing, because it is exquisite. Priests were divided into divisions, and within a division, the honor of entering the temple to burn incense was assigned by lot, and it was the honor of a lifetime. For many priests, a thing that never came at all. On this particular day, out of all the priests in his division, the lot falls on Zechariah. The dice of ordinary religious administration select the one man carrying a dead prayer. So he goes in, an old man doing his duty, expecting nothing but liturgy. The incense rises, and an angel of the Lord appears standing at the right side of the altar, and the old man is gripped with fear, and the angel says the sentence, "I have been building this entire message toward. Do not be afraid, Zechariah, for your prayer has been heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son. Your prayer has been heard. Not your prayer will be heard if you resume it. Not your prayer would have been heard had you kept it up, has been heard." The grammar is a resurrection. It reaches back across decades to a request the man himself had buried, and reveals that the request never died. It had been standing in the presence of God the entire time, alive, active, on file, while the one who prayed it aged out of expecting anything. I want to give this its name, because you are going to need to carry it out of here. I call it the standing prayer. A standing prayer is a request that remains in force in heaven long after it has expired on earth. You stopped praying it. It did not stop working. This is one of the strangest mercies in the whole architecture of faith, that the persistence of a prayer does not depend on the stamina of the one who prayed it. You carried it as long as you could. When you set it down, it did not fall. It stood. Now let me name your symptom with the precision it deserves. There is a prayer you no longer pray. You know the one. It is the prayer you flinch past. When it surfaces in your mind, you handle it quickly and put it away, the way you handle a photograph of someone you lost. You have told yourself you released it in faith, but you know the truth is nearer to this. You released it in anesthesia, hoping hurt too much, so you stopped, and you have judged yourself for that, quietly, for years. You decided that retiring the prayer was the moment you disqualified yourself from its answer. That heaven watched you stop asking and marked the file closed for insufficient persistence. Some teacher somewhere told you that answers go to those who never stop knocking, and you stopped knocking. And so the arithmetic seemed simple and damning. But look at what the story actually shows. Zechariah had stopped. We know he had stopped, because when the answer arrived, he argued with it. "How shall I know this?" he says, "for I am an old man." That is not the voice of a man mid-petition. That is the voice of a man whose hope had been in storage so long, he no longer recognized its shape when it was handed back to him. And heaven answered him anyway. The lot still fell on him. The angels still came. The mechanism your guilt has been hiding from you is this. Prayers are not subscriptions that lapse when you stop paying attention to them. They are standing petitions, filed in a realm where nothing sincere is ever lost, and they can be answered at any hour, including hours long after the one who filed them has gone quiet. Your silence did not cancel anything. Heaven does not do its accounting based on your stamina. It never did. So take the years since you stopped praying that prayer and read them again under this light. You thought those were the years the request sat dead. They were the years it stood watch. And notice the deepest turn in the story. The answer did not come while Zechariah was praying hardest, in his 30s, with all that strength. It came when he was old, empty-handed, expecting liturgy. It came, in other words, in a season exactly like the one you are standing in right now. More than that, the answer, when it finally came, was bigger than the request had ever been. They had asked for a child. What arrived was John, the forerunner, the voice in the wilderness, the hinge of an age. The prayer stood so long not because heaven was reluctant, but because it was being braided into something whose size they never could have requested. Delay had been doing the work of enlargement the whole time. The rope again. The braid again. It is everywhere once you see it. Here is your act of agency, and it is gentle, so do not brace. Sometime in the next day, alone, I want you to pray the retired prayer one time, not a campaign, not a return to the treadmill of desperate asking. Once, in your own words, with your hand open, the way you would greet an old friend at a door rather than beg a judge at a bench. You are not resurrecting it. You are visiting it where it stands. There is a difference, and your body will feel the difference. And when you have done it, or if you already know which prayer I mean and can feel it standing up inside you right now, put 5 words in the comments for every gray-haired Zechariah scrolling in the dark tonight. My prayer is still standing. 3 witnesses now stand around you. Jacob with his daybreak grip, teaching you that the blessing releases at the moment of refusing to let go. The woman with her hidden touch, teaching you that unseen moves land at full weight. And Zechariah at the altar, teaching you that nothing sincere you ever prayed has expired. Hold them together, and they say one thing. The machinery of your release is already in motion, and it was your own quiet hand that set it moving. So now I want to do something different. I have spent all this time turning you around to face your past correctly. For the next few minutes, I want to turn you the other way. I want you to stand inside a morning that has not happened yet, because there is a kind of knowing that only arrives when the future stops being an idea and becomes a room you have already visited. Come forward with me some months from now. It is early, and you are waking up in the same bed you have now, in the same house, because this is not a fantasy where everything external transformed overnight. What has transformed is the first 4 seconds. You wake, and your mind reaches by old habit for the weight, the ledger, the unresolved thing, and the hand of your mind closes on nothing. It is not there. You lie still, almost confused, the way a person keeps favoring a healed leg. You get up and make the coffee, and while it brews, you realize you are humming, and you cannot remember when you started doing that again. On the table sits the thing you are building now, the work, the plan, the mending relationship, whatever walked in when the door opened, and the sight of it produces energy instead of dread. Not manic energy, sturdy energy, rope energy. You sit down to it the way a craftsman sits down to a bench that fits him. At some point that morning, a hard thing happens, because hard things do not stop happening in the next season. A bill, a message, a setback, and you watch yourself respond to it, and this is the moment you finally understand what the waiting years manufactured. The hard thing lands on you, and you flex instead of cracking. You handle it before noon, and it costs you an hour instead of a week. The old you would have lost 3 days to that. You have become someone weather passes through without becoming climate. And then the part I most want you to taste. Someone comes to you that season, someone younger or newer or more freshly broken, and they are standing in the middle of their own locked hallway, and they ask you, without quite asking, how you survived yours. And you hear yourself speak, unhurried, specific, kind, and you realize that every sentence coming out of your mouth was braided during your delay. The weight wrote your material. You are not just holding rope now, you are throwing it. That person is the reason some of this took as long as it took. Look at their face for 1 more second before we come back. That face is why the braid needed the extra strands. Heaven counts rescues before they happen, and yours were counted, and the count required a version of you that only the long weave could produce. Come back now, but do not come back all the way. Leave a foot in that morning. You are allowed to live leaning toward it. If this message has been reaching you, if you can feel that it was woven for you and not merely published at you, there is a small thing you can do that costs nothing and carries this further than you can see. Somewhere near this message there is a way to leave a mark that you were here and that this mattered, a small gesture of agreement. Touch it once, the way she touched the hem, not for me, but as a quiet amen to your own turning. Little signals like that decide which of the waiting ones this message finds next, and one of them is at their jabok tonight. Now, I told you near the beginning that there was a physical discovery I would open for you. Evidence that your waiting season left fingerprints on the actual instrument you think and perceive and create with. It is time to begin opening it, and I need to begin in what might seem like a strange place. I need to begin with you as a child, at about 5 years old. Go back there for a moment, not to the hard parts of childhood, if childhood was hard for you, but to a specific capacity you had then that you have probably forgotten you had. Do you remember how ideas used to arrive? They did not come single file, reasoned, defensible. They came in floods, sideways, in pictures. A cardboard box was a ship, a fortress, a cave, a television, all within the same afternoon, and the shifting between those worlds cost you nothing. Do you remember what wanting was like back then? When a 5-year-old wants something, the wanting is total, undivided, and strangely creative. The child does not want and doubt in the same instant. The child does not desire a thing while simultaneously running a background process, listing the reasons the thing is impossible. That split, that constant, quiet civil war between the wanting part and the doubting part, had not been installed yet. You came into this world whole. I am not romanticizing. This has been measured. Decades ago, researchers began giving groups of children tests designed to identify what they called genius-level capacity in creative thinking. The ability to generate original solutions, to see connections invisible to others, to imagine what does not yet exist. Among 5-year-olds, the results were almost embarrassing. Nearly all of them, close to every single child, tested, scored at the genius level. It was not rare. It was the factory setting. Then the same style of testing was applied further along the human timeline, and the numbers did something that should keep the whole world awake at night. By the age of 10, the percentage had collapsed. By adolescence, it had collapsed again. And among adults, the researchers found genius-level creative capacity in fewer than 1 in 1,000. Read those two numbers together and refuse to look away. Nearly all of us, at 5, fewer than 1 in 1,000 grown. Nobody gets to explain those numbers with genetics, because genetics do not evaporate between kindergarten and a driver's license. Something happens to people. Something is done to that original wholeness, slowly, systemically, in classrooms that reward one narrow kind of thinking, in stress that teaches the mind to survive instead of imagine, in years of adult life where efficiency is worshipped and wonder is treated as a luxury for people with easier calendars. And here is why I am telling you this in the middle of a message about waiting, because if ordinary life dims that instrument in ordinary people, I need you to consider what a long season of survival mode does to it. Waiting, real waiting, the kind you have endured, is not neutral time. It is high alert time. And what it quietly costs, nobody warned you about. Stay with me, because this next stretch explains more about your recent years than anything a calendar could tell you. To understand what got dimmed, you need to know about a discovery so consequential that it earned the Nobel Prize, and about the quiet man behind it. His name was Dr. Roger Sperry, and in the middle of the last century he began studying patients whose brains had been surgically divided. The connection between the two halves severed as a treatment for severe seizures. What he found rewrote the map of the human mind. Sperry demonstrated that the two hemispheres of your brain are not redundant copies. They are two profoundly different intelligences living in one skull. One half specializes in language, sequence, analysis, the step-by-step logic that gets you through paperwork and traffic. The other half speaks no words at all, but it holds pattern, music, imagery, intuition, the sense of the whole picture, the leap that arrives from nowhere and turns out to be right. His split brain work showed something haunting. When the connection between the halves was cut, each half could operate, but neither could access what the other knew. A patient could hold an object in one hand and know exactly what it was without being able to name it, then hold it in the other hand and name it instantly. Two intelligences, side by side, each blind to the treasure of its twin whenever the bridge between them went down. Now, here is the part that concerns you, and I want to say it carefully because you have not had surgery and nobody cut anything in you. The bridge between your two hemispheres is living tissue, a dense highway of connection, and like everything living, it answers to use. Pathways that get exercised strengthen. Pathways that go quiet, weaken, not dead, dimmed. And the difference between dead and dimmed is the entire hope of this message. Think about what modern life asks of that bridge. School rewarded one lane of it almost exclusively. Sit still, memorize, sequence, repeat. The imaginative half, the one that made a cardboard box into a fleet of ships, was gradually informed that its contributions were off-topic. Then, adulthood arrived with its beautiful, crushing logistics, and the narrowing continued, because bills are analyzed, not imagined, and inboxes reward the sequential mind every single day. And then, on top of all of that, came your particular years, the waiting years. Survival seasons flood a person with vigilance. The mind, under prolonged uncertainty, pulls its resources into the circuits of threat and calculation, the lanes that scan and plan and brace. It has to. That is triage. And triage kept you alive. But triage has a cost. And the cost is the wide, whole, connected way of seeing that you were born with. The very capacity that made you feel most like yourself. You have felt this from the inside without having words for it. It is why the fog rolls in when you sit down to do the thing that matters most. It is why you can handle logistics all day and then find nothing left for the dream. It is why prayer began to feel like reciting rather than meeting, and why you can no longer daydream in color the way you once did, and why good ideas, when they come at all, arrive tired, like letters delayed in the mail. Chosen one, that was never laziness, that was never age, that was a bridge running on reduced power for so long that you recalibrated and called it normal. Dimmed, not dead. Hold those words. Every capacity I have described is still in you, whole, on the other side of a connection that has merely been starved. The 5-year-old who scored at genius level did not die. Nothing was removed from your skull by your hard years. The instrument is intact. The wiring between its halves has simply been waiting, and I use that word deliberately, waiting for the traffic to return. And now we have arrived at the middle of this message, and at the sentence I have been holding back, because you could not have received it an hour ago. What has been done to your generation, to your parents, to you, this systematic dimming of the brightest instrument ever created, dressed up as education and efficiency and just growing up? I can only call it what it is, the great swindle of our lifetime. Capacities that were your birthright were quietly taken off the table, while everyone applauded your becoming realistic. Nobody asked your permission. Nobody sat you down at 7 years old and said, "We are going to trade your fleet of ships for neat handwriting. Sign here." It happened the way all deep theft happens, slowly, respectably, without a single alarm going off. And the cruelest part is that the swindle teaches its victims to blame themselves for the missing goods. You have spent years calling yourself scattered, foggy, undisciplined, behind. You were none of those things. You were robbed politely and handed the invoice. But there is an old promise that sits over every swindle ever perpetrated on the children of God, and I want you to hear it now, with your whole chest. It is written in the book of Joel, "I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten." Read the grammar of that promise. It is not "I may," it is not "apply," and "we will see." It is "I will restore," spoken by the one who watched every locust land and kept the ledger of everything they took. Which means the posture this message is calling you into for everything that was dimmed, everything the waiting years drained, everything the swindle carried off, is not the posture of a beggar. Restoration under a standing promise is not requested. It is claimed. There is a difference in the spine between asking whether you may have something and stepping forward to receive what has been written over you. The first is how you approach a maybe. The second is how you approach a will. Let me step aside for the second of the 3 times I told you about, because I believe this is the moment for it. If the Father were to speak into this exact seam of your life, I believe it would sound like this. "My child, I saw every locust. I watched what the long years took from you, the brightness, the ease, the color of your inner world, and I heard you blame yourself for the missing pieces, and it grieved me, because none of it was your failure. Now, hear me. I do not return things in worn condition. What I restore with interest. The years are coming back, and they are coming back heavier with glory than they were when they left. So do the claiming thing here, now, in writing, where your own eyes can witness your own spine. 4 words in the comments. I claim it back. Is less than #. 4. Since you have now written a claim, let me show you what the promise you claimed actually contains, because most people quote the locust verse and stop one sentence too early, and the sentences after it are where the treasure is buried. The promise in Joel does not stop at restoration. It describes what restored looks like. The threshing floors shall be full of wheat, it says, and the vats shall overflow. You shall eat in plenty and be satisfied. And then the line that undoes me every time I read it. And my people shall never again be put to shame. Never again be put to shame. Underline that in your spirit. Because shame is the deepest tax your waiting years collected. Deeper than the lost time. Deeper than the lost opportunities. The explaining at family gatherings. The changing of the subject when your stalled area came up. The way you learned to talk about your life in a slightly apologetic tone, as if your circumstances were a mess a guest had made in the house of your own story. Restoration, as heaven defines it, does not just return the goods. It retires the shame, publicly, permanently. And notice the strange accounting of the locust promise. It says, I will restore the years, not the crops, the years. Any farmer can replant a field and recover a harvest, but no farmer on earth can recover a season that has already passed. That is precisely the impossibility this promise walks into on purpose. Heaven is not offering to make your future adequate despite your past. It is claiming authority over the value of the past itself, promising that the total yield of your life will be as if the locust years had produced, which is mathematics that only makes sense to the one standing outside of time. How is such a thing even possible? I will tell you how I have watched it work, in life after life, and it never stops astonishing me. The restored years do not come back as time, they come back as density. A person walks through their open door and finds that things which should take a decade take 3 years. Relationships deepen at speeds that make no calendar sense. Wisdom that others buy with 30 years of mistakes they already own, because the waiting room turned out to be a compressed classroom. The locust years return as concentration, and the person lives more life per year than they have ever lived. And somewhere along the way they look up and realize the math has quietly evened. You have already seen the early edge of this and not recognized it. Think about how much this single hour with me has moved in you. Years of misreading corrected in an afternoon. That is density. That is what a restored year feels like arriving, and it arrived through headphones on an ordinary day, which is exactly the delivery method heaven prefers. The extraordinary smuggled inside the unremarkable. There is more of this coming. Much more. The compression has already begun. Now, one caution about the claiming itself, because I told you restoration is claimed and not begged, and I need to make sure you heard that with the right spirit. Claiming is not demanding. The difference is not volume, it is relationship. A demand comes from an orphan spirit standing outside the house, fists on the door, convinced that nothing will be given unless it is extracted. A claim comes from an heir standing inside the house, holding a written promise, receiving what a father has already signed. Same words, sometimes. Entirely different posture, and only one of them can rest afterward. You will know which one you are operating in by what happens in your body after you claim. The demander finishes tense, already scanning for evidence, already preparing the grievance in case of delay. The heir finishes lighter, the way you finish signing papers for something that is now legally yours, even though the moving truck has not arrived. The moving truck, chosen one, is not your department. The signature was the transaction. Everything else is logistics, and heaven has never once lost a shipment. And while the shipment travels, there is a posture I want to commend to you. One the old farmers of the promise knew well. After the claim, gratitude in advance. Not gratitude as a technique, not thanking as a lever to speed things up. Heaven is not a vending machine and cannot be gamed by manners. I mean the settled gratitude of a person who considers the matter handled. It is the difference between the child who keeps asking whether the trip is still happening and the child who starts packing. Both believe, technically, only one of their bedrooms shows it. So pack something this week. I mean it practically. Do one small physical thing that only makes sense if the restored season is actually coming. Clear the desk where the work will happen. Fix the spare room. Learn the first pages of the skill the new door will require. Buy the one tool, not as superstition, as architecture. Faith without any corresponding motion tends to dissolve back into mood, but a single packed box has a way of preaching to its owner every time they walk past it. Let your house start agreeing with your claim before your circumstances do. Do you remember the promise I made you much earlier, when I said that something physical had been working against you this whole time, and that I would open it fully when you were ready? You just watched me open it. The dimmed bridge is the physical thing. The mystery I teased an hour ago and the science you just heard are the same fact seen from two sides, and now the loop closes. Your waiting season had a spiritual lock and a physical cost, and you needed to see both, because you are about to walk through a door that will ask for everything the wait dimmed. Hold that thought, because we will return to what can be done about the dimming, and what a physician in New York discovered about it. But first, there is one more breakthrough you need, and it is the heaviest one in this entire message. Everything else has been preparing you to be able to carry it. If you only remember one stretch of this message in a year, let it be the next few minutes. Here is the symptom, and I will describe it so precisely it may sting, since your quiet act, the one we have been talking about all this time, the days have continued to look identical. You did the powerful thing, and then Tuesday came, and it behaved exactly like the Tuesday before it. Same commute, same silence, from the same corners, same numbers in the account. And a voice in you has been drawing the obvious conclusion. Nothing happened. The key did not turn. This whole idea is a warm story. You know this voice. It is the one that audits. It checked the mail the day after you forgave, so to speak, and found no letter from heaven, and it has been checking every day since, and every empty mailbox has been entered into evidence. By now, the case file is thick, weeks of unchanged circumstances, presented as proof that your most powerful moment was actually your most naive one. And the common explanation, the one your tired mind reaches for at 2 in the morning, is one of two stories. Either the act did not count, was too small, too private, too late, or it counted, and the answer is simply no. Both stories share one assumption, and the assumption is the error. They assume that when a key turns, the door and the room and the world change in the same instant. They assume the spiritual and the visible run on the same clock. They do not, and here is the mechanism, the last and largest piece of the machine. When a great ship is crossing open water and the wheel is turned hard over, something absolute happens in that moment. The rudder swings. The entire future of that ship is decided, mathematically, irreversibly, at the wheel. And yet, for a long, strange interval afterward, the bow keeps pointing at the old horizon. Tons of momentum have to be persuaded. To every passenger on deck, nothing whatsoever has happened. The ship is turning, and it looks exactly like a ship that is not. In the realm where your act landed, the transaction is complete. The lock turned when the key turned. What you are living through right now, these flat, identical days that feel like proof of nothing, is not the absence of the answer. It is the interval between the rudder and the bow. It is what a turned life looks like from on deck, before the horizon visibly swings. There is a lag between the decided and the displayed, and every soul that has ever walked with God has had to cross it, and almost every one of them mistook the middle of it for abandonment. Give this its name, the name I have made you wait for since Jacob at daybreak. I call it the final turn. The final turn is the last motion of a long unlocking, and it has a terrible property. It is silent. The tumblers of providence do not click loudly enough for human ears, which means the most dangerous moment of your entire waiting season is not the middle of it. It is now, the moment after the key has turned and before the door has visibly moved, because this is the moment people take their hand off the key, call the whole thing failed, and walk away from a door that is already unlocked. They stop leaning on it one push before it swings. Jacob had held on all night, but the blessing came in the final grip, the one he almost did not have in him. The woman had endured 12 years, but the healing was in the last 18 inches of reach through that crowd. Zechariah had prayed for decades, but the answer landed on an ordinary shift he almost aged out of. The pattern is not subtle. Heaven seems to seal its greatest releases inside the moment, just past the point where reasonable people quit. Now take this mechanism and lay it over your recent weeks, and watch your history rewrite itself one more time. Every identical Tuesday since your quiet act was not evidence of failure. It was momentum being persuaded. The silence you have been reading as a verdict was the sound of a bow coming around, degree by degree, below the threshold of your senses. You have not been waiting these last weeks. You have been turning. There is a difference, and the difference is everything. And the grief of it, the thing that makes me urgent with you, is how many people in the history of faith have stood exactly where you stand. One push from an unlocked door, fully braided, key already turned, and chose that precise moment to finally agree with the voice of the audit. They did not lose to the lock. They lost to the lag. Do not join them. You did not survive the whole night at the river to let go in the grey minute before daybreak. So, here is what returns to your hands, the agency of this heaviest truth. You do not need to push harder. You need to stop returning a key that has already turned. Every day you relitigate whether your act counted, You are rattling a handle that is not locked. The task of this season is different now. The task is to stand at the door the way you stand at an arrival gate, not the way you stand at a courtroom. Watchful, not anxious. Expecting, not auditing. The door owes you nothing but the swing that is already in motion. If something in your chest just shifted, and I believe it did, then declare the new season in 4 words in the comments, where your own future self can come back and find them. The lock is open. But before you write it, let me ask the question that has been sitting under this whole message, the one you may have been too encouraged to notice. If the key has turned, if the lock is open, if all of this is true, why do so many people reach this exact point, believe every word, feel everything you are feeling right now, and still find that nothing in their daily life gains traction? Why does the insight stay insight? The answer is not in anything I have said so far. It is in the one place we have not looked yet, and we are going there now. Let me put everything in plain words first, as plainly as I can manage, because you deserve to see the whole picture assembled before I add the final piece. Here is the why. Your waiting season lasted this long because waiting seasons end by trigger and not by time, and nobody ever taught you that. So you spent years trying to serve out a sentence that was actually a locked door. Recently, in private, at real cost, you performed the kind of act that turns that lock. That is why this message found you now, and not last year. Here is the what. What comes next is not a continuation of your old life with better luck. It is a different season with different demands. The braided years made you strong enough for it, and the turned key has set it in motion, and the lag you are living through right now is temporary. The door is going to ask you to walk, build, create, decide, love, and lead at a level your survival years never required of you. And here is the who. You are a person whose spirit just got unlocked, but whose instrument has been dimmed. Years of vigilance pulled your mind into survival lanes and starved the bridge between your 2 hemispheres, the connection that carries imagination, intuition, and the wide sight you were born with. The 5-year-old genius in you is intact, but running on low power. That is the plain, unpoetic, physical situation as you sit here listening. The season is open. The question is whether the one walking into it will be running on 1/10 of themselves. Clarity is not capacity. You now know why you were stuck. Knowing is not the same as being ready. Some years ago, a neurologist in New York City began noticing a pattern in his patients that the textbooks did not explain. His name is Dr. Daniel Barone, and his days were filled with people whose scans looked normal and whose lives did not. High-functioning adults who described the same strange complaint in different words. Doctor, I can get through my tasks, but the lights feel dimmer. I used to have ideas. I used to feel like myself. Somewhere in the hard years, something switched off, and I cannot find the switch. One patient in particular stayed with him, a woman in her 50s who had spent close to a decade caring for a sick husband while holding a job and a household together. A decade of vigilance. When the crisis finally passed and her life opened up again, she found she could not walk through the opening. The fog that had been her constant companion during the hard years did not leave when the hard years did. Whatever the emergency had borrowed from her mind, it had not given back. Her case sent him deep into the research literature, back to the Nobel Prize work of Dr. Roger Sperry on the 2 hemispheres and the living bridge between them, and forward into decades of studies on what prolonged stress does to that bridge. And there he found the pattern that explains her and you. The connection was not damaged, it was dormant. Underused lanes, quieted by years of survival traffic, waiting for a signal strong enough to call them back into service. Dimmed, not dead. The question that consumed the team he works with became beautifully simple. If the bridge dims through disuse, can it be deliberately called back? Not with drugs, not with machines strapped to the skull, but through the one doorway that reaches both hemispheres at once, naturally, every day of your life. Sound, not ordinary sound. A precisely constructed sequence of it, designed to invite both halves of the brain to fire and link in patterns they had abandoned, the auditory equivalent of traffic returning to an empty highway. It took years, and version after version, and a name kept coming up in their testing sessions. Half a joke at first, and then simply the truth. They were not installing anything new in anyone. They were finding the switch that the hard years had flipped off and flipping it back. They called it the genius switch. Here is what it actually is, in the plainest terms, because you have had enough mystery for one day. It is an 8-minute audio experience built on what the team calls neural sync technology, engineered around the science of whole brain activation, the reconnection of the two hemispheres speri-mapped. You put on headphones, you close your eyes, and you listen once a day. That is the entire protocol. 8 minutes. There is nothing to memorize and nothing to perform. You do not need to meditate correctly, repeat phrases, or feel anything special while it plays. The sequence does its work beneath your effort, the way sleep repairs you without your supervision. Some people listen in the morning with their coffee, some listen in the car before walking into work. And if you miss a day, you miss a day. Nothing collapses. You simply return tomorrow. It was built for people with real lives, because those are exactly the people the hard years dim. I want to tell you about 2 of the people who have already walked through this door, because their stories rhyme with yours. The first is a nurse from Southern California who wrote to the team after her first stretch of days with the sequence. Her words were simple. For years, she said, life was happening to me. She had tried everything the wellness world sells, meditation apps, journals, retreats, and nothing clicked. Within about 10 days of the 8 minutes, she wrote that something cleared, like a channel that had been blocked was suddenly open. The invisible stress she had stopped even noticing began to dissolve, and to her astonishment, the person her husband got back was someone both of them had quietly grieved. The second is a business owner from Houston, a father of 2 who had been carrying his whole company on what he later called a partially functioning brain. His prayers, he said, had started to feel like talking into a wall, not because his faith failed, but because his mind was too foggy to meet anything, God or otherwise. About 2 weeks in, he described sitting at his desk and realizing the fog was gone, and that it had been so constant for so long he had stopped registering it as fog at all. Decisions that used to circle for days began landing in minutes. That is what a bridge coming back online feels like, from the inside. Neither of those people is unusual. At last count, more than 18,400 everyday Americans have taken up this 8-minute practice. Nurses and truck drivers and grandmothers and pastors, ordinary people whose stories share one arc. Years of survival dimmed the instrument, and then something, often something small, gave them permission to reclaim it. But I need to say something honest here, because this is not for everyone, and pretending otherwise would disrespect you. If someone is looking for a magic shortcut to riches, this will disappoint them. If someone wants to be fixed while remaining a spectator of their own life, this is not that. The genius switch was built, whether the team fully knew it or not, for one specific kind of person. The one who has already turned the key. The one whose waiting season is ending, who can feel a door in motion, and who refuses to walk through it at 1/10 of themselves. If that is you, then what I am describing is not an accessory. It is the ordinary door out of the waiting room, the practical bridge between the life that was decided at the rudder and the person who has to sail it. Now let me tell you what it costs, and I will tell it the way it unfolded, because the pricing itself is a small story about intention. When colleagues of the doctor first heard what the team had built and what it did in testing, several told him plainly that he could charge $500 for it, and it would still be an incredible value, because a single course of in-person cognitive work costs multiples of that, and this was something people could use at home for the rest of their lives. He refused that math. His stated reason, and everything about the way this has been distributed backs it up, was that the people who most need their instrument back are usually the people the hard years have also drained financially. Waiting seasons are expensive, so the official price was set at $49, not $500. $49. And then it was lowered again. Today, through the official page, the one linked in the description and in the pinned comment below this message, it is $39. $10 under its own official price, for reasons that are entirely about reach and not about margin. $39 once for something you own permanently and can listen to every morning for the rest of your life. That is less than a single tank of gas in some states. It is dinner for two at a chain restaurant. For the Switch. They also refuse to send you into this alone, so 4 companions come with it, free, at that same $39. The first is a guided visualization recorded by one of the most loved creators on the Calm app, a gentle practice for picturing your life unfolding across money, love, health, and happiness, a perfect companion for the vision walking we did together earlier. The second is a smart grocery guide that names 10 common American foods quietly feeding brain fog, the dietary accomplices of the dimming we talked about, along with shopping shortcuts that typically save families more than $100 a month at the stores you already visit. The guide can quite literally pay for the whole thing several times over within its first month. The third is a classic book, more than a century old, the root text behind most of what people now call manifestation teaching, about the disciplined imagining of a better future. It sells for around $20 on its own. It comes free at checkout. And the fourth is a beautifully designed guide to the 5 daily habits most strongly tied to building an ideal future, made to be printed and hung where your morning eyes will find it. Small rudders, all of them, for the same turning ship, is less than Hashone. 3. And then there is the promise that makes the whole decision weightless, and I want to state it exactly, because it tells you what kind of people built this. The whole thing is covered by a 100% ironclad money-back guarantee. Any reason, no conditions. It does not matter if you have listened once or 100 times. If you decide it is not for you, every cent returns to you, without argument and without hoops, which means the real price of finding out is 0, and the only thing genuinely at stake is the version of you that stays dimmed. One thing I have to say plainly, because it is true, and you deserve to plan around it. $39 is a reduced figure, held there through this page, and there is no guarantee it holds. The team has said openly that the price can return to $49 or beyond as distribution costs shift. I will not insult you with a fake countdown clock. There is no clock. There is simply the honest fact that today it costs $39, and on some unannounced day it will not. And doors that stand open indefinitely have a way of teaching people to never walk through them. I also need to warn you about something, and this part matters. There are recordings floating around on big shopping sites and music apps wearing similar names, promising genius this and awakened that. The team studied a stack of them and found that most carry nothing inside. No engineered sequence, no synchronization architecture, just ambient sound wearing a costume, because it costs nothing to put a label on a track. The real sequence exists in exactly one place, the official page, and the only links I trust are the ones sitting in the description and in the pinned comment right below this message. Not Amazon, not the music apps, the description and the pinned comment. That is the door. And hear me on this, because your history makes you vulnerable to a particular thief. Do not let the counterfeits cost you the genuine article. You, of all people, know what it is to stand near something real and be handed imitations. You have done 12 years of physicians. Go where the real hem is. If your spirit is leaning right now, trust the leaning. That is the entire call to action. No pressure, no salesmanship, just the same quiet voice that has been true with you for this whole message, telling you that the leaning you feel is information. You have spent years learning to distrust your own pulls toward good things. Let this be the day that ends. And if you need one more human fact to lean on, take this one. A practicing neurologist in New York City put his real name, Dr. Barone, his reputation, and his license worth of credibility on the line for an 8-minute recording in a profession where reputations are guarded like vaults. People do not stake decades of standing on something that does not work. What the genius switch restores was worth his name. That should tell you what it could be worth to yours. Now let me answer the 3 questions I can already hear, because you are wise to ask them, and they deserve straight answers. The first, I have tried everything before. Sound programs, meditation tracks, apps with waterfalls, and my mind is still foggy, so why would this be different? The answer is in the mechanism. Most of what circulates addresses only one hemisphere of the picture, relaxation without reconnection. It calms the traffic. It does not reopen the bridge. What the team built is aimed at synchronization, both halves invited to fire and link together, which is a different mechanism producing a different category of result. You have not tried this, because this has not been where you were looking. The second question, $39 is real money in a tight season, so how do I justify it? Gently, with arithmetic. An in-home neural training machine runs about $7,000. Clinical sessions run about $300 an hour, week after week. This was priced so that the people who cannot fly to a New York office still get the mechanism. And the guarantee means it is not even a purchase in the normal sense. It is a fully refundable deposit on your own capacity. Meanwhile, the cost of staying dim does not appear on any receipt, but you have been paying it for years, in ideas that never arrived and doors you walked through at 1/10 of yourself. That is the expensive option. The third question, I have no time. My days are already bursting, so where do 8 minutes come from? Chosen one, if we are honest, this is not a time problem. 8 minutes is the coffee brewing. 8 minutes is the car in the parking lot before you walk in. If 8 minutes truly cannot be found, then the schedule is not the obstacle, permission is. And permission is exactly the wound this whole message has been tending. You are allowed to take 8 minutes a day to recover what the hard years took. That is not indulgence. That is stewardship of the instrument God gave you. The door is described. The links wait quietly below in the description and pinned comment, and they will still be there when this message ends. I am done speaking of it for now, because there is somewhere else we need to go, somewhere no tool can take you, and it is the reason this message exists at all. What remains between you and your open door is not information anymore. It is an appointment, and I intend to keep it with you, is less than has Hone 3. Let me tell you about a man I will not name, because his story was given to me on the condition of his privacy, and because he could be any of us, which is precisely the point. He lives in a small town in the Midwest, a maintenance supervisor at a regional hospital, or he was until the year everything in his life failed at once, the way troubles seemed to coordinate their arrivals. In the space of 11 months, he lost the job to a restructuring, watched his marriage go quiet in the way that is worse than shouting, and buried his mother, who had been the last person on earth who fully believed in him. He was 53 years old, unemployed in a town with one hospital, sleeping in the guest room of his own house, and praying prayers that had shrunk to a single word, which was simply, please. And in the middle of that year there was a brother. I will call him that, a younger brother who, 2 decades earlier, had wronged him in a business matter so badly that the family had split into hemispheres of its own, weddings with 2 guest lists, holidays negotiated like treaties. Our man had been correct in the dispute, and everyone knew it. And being correct had become a kind of second income for him. He collected on it every time the story was retold. That autumn, for no reason he could ever fully explain, in a grocery store parking lot, of all the unsacred places, he saw his brother loading bags into a truck across the lot, older now, grayer, moving like a man with his own quiet troubles. And our man sat in his car with his hands on the wheel and did the thing this entire message has been about. He let the debt go, alone, unwitnessed, unrequested. He said out loud to a windshield, I release it. You do not owe me anymore. And then he drove home and told no one, and felt, in his own words, absolutely nothing. Now I need you to hear what did not happen next, because your trust matters more to me than your goosebumps. The phone did not ring that evening with a job offer. His wife did not meet him at the door, transformed. Heaven did not send weather. For 6 more weeks his life remained exactly, boringly, painfully identical, and he wondered, as you have wondered, whether the parking lot moment had been anything at all besides low blood sugar and grief. But the man himself had begun changing in ways he did not notice, and his household did. He slept differently. He stopped narrating the old injustice in his head while he did the dishes, and the freed space filled with something that had not visited him in years, which was ideas. One of the ideas was small and practical, a maintenance certification course, taught at night, that he had dismissed 100 times as being for younger men. Without quite deciding to, he enrolled. And then the strange turnaround came, and like every real one I have ever collected, it arrived through a side door that only made sense in reverse. A man in the certification course, a stranger, mentioned that his company managed facilities for a chain of clinics 2 counties over and could not find supervisors who actually cared. Within a season, our man had work that paid more than the job he had lost. Within a year, the guest room was a guest room again, because a husband who is not collecting on old debts turns out to be easier to love. And here is the detail he asked me to make sure I included, the one he says nobody believes, the brother called. Months after the parking lot, knowing nothing about any of it, the brother called for the first time in years, and the first words out of his mouth were, I do not know why I am calling. Our man knew why. Some transactions echo. The key does not just unlock your side of the door. I am not telling you that story as a formula, and I refuse to promise you that a job appears in week 7 and a phone rings in month 4. That is not how any of this works, and the people who sell it that way are selling counterfeits of a different kind. I am telling you the story because of its shape. Crisis, then a quiet, costly act that felt like nothing, then a lag that felt like proof of nothing, and then movement through a door nobody had been watching. Quiet trigger. Threshold lock. The final turn. His life spelled out the mechanism, and yours has already begun to. Notice one more thing about him, because it answers the question you should be asking. What did he do during the lag? Those 6 flat weeks when the bow had not yet swung. He did not stand at the mailbox auditing heaven. Without knowing our language for it, he behaved like a man whose lock was already open. He slept. He enrolled. He tended his instrument. He put himself in rooms where side doors happen. The lag is not a waiting room, chosen one. It is a staging area, and there are things to do in it, and that is exactly where we are going next. But before I hand you the things to do, I have to warn you about the 3 things people do instead, because the staging area has counterfeit exits, and more promises have died in them than ever died in the waiting itself. Each one is a door that looks like the door. Each one opens easily, which is exactly how you can tell it is not yours. And each one has been quietly presenting itself to you in recent weeks, which is why you need their names before I say anything else. The first false exit is the forced door. This is the exit taken by people who get tired of the lag and decide to manufacture the swing themselves. They stop waiting for the bow to come around and grab the railing and try to drag the ship by hand. You have seen this. The relationship pursued in the flesh 2 sizes too early. The venture launched on borrowed urgency because a birthday with a 0 in it was approaching. The words spoken at the wrong hour because silence had become unbearable. Hear me carefully on this, because the line is fine and everything depends on it. There is a holy boldness that belongs to your new season, and I have been calling you to it all day. But holy boldness walks through doors that are opening. It does not kick doors that are shut. The test is simple, and you can apply it to any decision in front of you right now. Boldness that flows from trust feels like walking. Force that flows from panic feels like proving. One is a stride, the other is a shove. Your body knows the difference, even when your arguments do not. Abraham waited decades for a promised son, and the single most consequential detour of his life was the forced door. The son manufactured through impatience because the wait had become unexplainable. And notice what the record shows. The forcing did not cancel the promise. Isaac still came, but the shove created its own long consequences that ran alongside the promise for generations. False exits are rarely fatal to the plan. They are expensive to it. The mercy is real, and so is the invoice. The second false exit is the abandoned door, and it is the one wired for the strongest of you, so listen closely if you are strong. This is the exit of the person who decides that wanting itself was the mistake. They do not force the door. They dignify their retreat from it. They call it acceptance, maturity, being realistic, dying to self. They rebuild their whole personality around not needing the thing they asked for, and they do it so beautifully that everyone applauds the surrender that is actually a burial. You will know this exit by one signature: cynicism that presents itself as peace. Real peace can talk about the promise without flinching. Real peace can watch someone else receive the very thing and feel clean joy. The abandoned door cannot. It changes the subject. It has a small practiced laugh for such conversations. If you have felt that laugh forming in you these last years, I am not scolding you. I am flagging the exit before you take it. The sentry in that inner room did not hold the hope this long for the daylight version of you to bury it 1 month before the swing. The third false exit is the shrunken door, and it is the subtlest because it involves no rebellion and no retreat, only a quiet downgrade. This is the person who stays at the door but renegotiates what they will accept through it. They asked for restoration and will settle for tolerance. They asked for the calling and will settle for a hobby. They asked for the whole promise and have privately decided that a corner of it would be fine, would be plenty, would be more than someone like them should expect. It sounds humble. It is not humble. Watch the mechanism underneath it. Shrinking the request is a way of protecting yourself from the pain of the full hope. An anesthesia dressed as modesty, and it insults the braid. Nobody weaves a rope for years to lower a thimble on it. The size of your preparation has always been the tell for the size of the assignment. When you shrink the ask, you are not being realistic. You are contradicting the evidence of your own construction. Now notice what all three false exits share, because this is the master key to avoiding them. The forced door, the abandoned door, and the shrunken door are all attempts to end the lag on your own terms. Force ends it by faking the swing. Abandonment ends it by declaring the swing cancelled. Shrinking ends it by negotiating a smaller swing. All three are ways of seizing back control of a timeline you were never given to control, and all three trade the real door for the relief of certainty. Certainty is the drug. The lag is where people relapse. And the antidote is not gritted teeth. The antidote is what you now have and they did not, which is a correct map. People force doors when they believe time is running out, but locks do not run on time. People abandon doors when they believe silence means no, but you know what the silence after a key turn actually is. People shrink doors when they believe their smallness caused the delay, but you know the delay was engineering. Every false exit runs on a misreading, and you, as of today, are no longer misreading. Stand at your true door. It is the only one that requires no forcing, no funeral, and no discount. One more word here, for a specific person listening, and you know if you are that person. Some of you have already taken one of these exits years ago, and this whole section has felt like an autopsy. You forced, and it cost you, or you buried, and the grave has grass on it, or you shrank, and you have been living politely inside the thimble. Hear this and do not miss it. False exits are not final exits. The door, the real one, does not rescind. Jacob was a man mid-consequence when the night at the river found him. The pattern of heaven is not that the detoured are disqualified. It is that the road bends back. This message finding you is the bend. Walk it. So let me hand you the toolkit, the simple daily practices I promised you at the beginning, the third of the three promises. There are 4 of them, they take minutes, and together they are how a person stands in a staging area without sliding back into the audit. Do not attempt all 4 perfectly. Pick them up the way you would pick up tools from a bench, as needed, without ceremony. The first practice I call the morning turn. Every morning, before your feet find the floor, one sentence, said inwardly or aloud. The key has turned, and today is part of the swing. That is all. 7 seconds. What it does is claim the first 4 seconds of consciousness, the exact moment the old clamp used to arrive, and set the tone of vigilance for the whole day. You are not affirming a fantasy. You are stating the mechanics of your actual season before the auditor can state its version. Whoever speaks first over a morning tends to own it. The second practice, the strand count. Each evening, at the sink or the pillow, name 1 strand the day added to your rope. 1. It might be, I did not send the bitter reply. It might be, I showed up tired. On terrible days, it might only be, I am still here. This is qavah made daily. The braided weight continued on purpose. The auditor keeps books of what did not arrive. The strand count keeps books of what got woven. Over weeks, you will physically feel which set of books you are living out of. The third practice, the standing prayer visit. Once a week, not more. Visit the prayer you retired. Pray it 1 time in the open-handed way we practiced with Zechariah as a greeting rather than a plea, and then leave it standing and walk away. This keeps your heart connected to the deep request without strapping it back onto the treadmill of desperate asking. The prayer does not need your anxiety to stay alive. It needs only this weekly nod between you and heaven. 2 watchmen acknowledging each other across a courtyard. And the 4th practice, the 8-minute stillness. Once a day, a short stretch of deliberate quiet for the instrument itself. Eyes closed, world out. If you take up the sequence I described earlier, that is your 8 minutes, made purposeful. If you do not, keep the appointment anyway with silence alone, because the bridge in you responds to any faithful traffic, and 8 minutes of daily stillness is the least a braided rope deserves. The point is the keeping of it. Instruments are tuned by rhythm, not by intensity. Now, before I take you into the last and deepest room of this message, there is someone I need you to think about. Somewhere in the last hour, a face has drifted through your mind. Someone who is standing where you have been standing, mid-wait, midnight, mid-audit. You know exactly who it is. That surfacing was not random. Rope finds rope, and one of the oldest laws of the braided life is that the freshly strengthened are sent to the still fraying. Send this message to that person. Do not explain it or add 3 paragraphs of your own. Just pass it along with a single line, something like, "This found me and it sounded like you." You have no idea what hour it is inside their story. You may be handing a rope across a canyon you cannot see. And there is something that happens in your own season when you become a courier of the very mercy you are receiving. Freely you received. Freely hand it on. And hear this, because I can feel some of you treating the practices and the sending as small. We have spent this entire message learning exactly one lesson in a dozen costumes. Small is the denomination heaven trades in. A grip at daybreak, a fingertip on a hem, one old prayer at an altar, a sentence to a windshield in a parking lot. The kingdom appears to run its greatest transactions through gestures the world files under nothing. Your 4 practices are not small. They are correctly sized for the realm they operate in. Before this message ends, I am going to speak something over your life. I want you to know that now, so that you do not drift in these final stretches. It is the reason I asked you to stay to the very end. It is connected to the one word I promised you in the first minutes, and it requires the room we are about to enter together. What is coming is not a summary. Summaries are for information, and you did not come here for information. You came here, though you did not know it when you clicked, for an appointment. It is nearly time. First, though, I want to show you one more picture of the future, because earlier we visited a morning some months out, and that was the near country. Now I want to take you further, because who you are becoming through all of this is larger than a better morning, and you should see the far country at least once before we pray. Come forward with me, not months this time, but years. Far enough that the door you are currently standing at is a story you tell, not a place you live. You are older, and something has happened to your face that people notice before they can name it. It is the particular stillness of a person who has been through a locked season and out the other side. The look of someone who no longer flinches when life goes quiet, because quiet stopped, meaning abandoned, a long time ago. Look at what you are doing in this far country. You are building something that has your fingerprints all over it. The work or the family or the ministry or the craft that the locked years were secretly sizing you for. It is not perfect, and it is not finished, because you no longer need things to be finished to be at peace. But it is alive, and it is yours. And it grew out of ground, the waiting years plowed. Nothing, you now understand, was wasted. Not one winter of it. And look at who is around you. This is the part that will undo you a little, so let it. There are people in this far country who made it because you did. The one you sent this message to years ago. On an ordinary night, they are standing in their own opened life now, and part of their story is that somebody handed them rope at the right hour. There are younger ones who watch how you move through setbacks, and are quietly learning that setbacks are survivable. Your endurance became curriculum. Your limp became credentials. Somewhere in that far country there is also a version of the old audit, one last time, because old voices do occasionally clear their throats, even in freedom. It surfaces on a hard afternoon and suggests, out of ancient habit, that you are behind, that you missed something, that the good years are elsewhere, and you actually laugh. Not bitterly, gently, the way you laugh at a photograph of an old fear, because you are standing inside the very future the voice once swore would never come. The evidence outnumbers the accusation now. That is what winning this particular war looks like. It does not end with the voice silenced. It ends with the voice outvoted. Hold the far country one more second. Breathe it. Notice that nothing in it required you to become someone else. The far country is not populated by a fantasy version of you with a different personality and a different past. It is you, this exact you, with the bridge relit and the rope load-bearing and the door long since walked through. Every raw material of that future is already sitting in the chair you are sitting in right now. The years between here and there are not a gamble. They are a bow. Swinging. Now come back, and as you come, I want you to bring one thing with you, a single decision that the far country makes obvious. The decision is this: I am not going to walk into that future at a tenth of myself. Say it however you say such things, but decide it. The unlocked door deserves a whole person walking through it. The people downstream of your life deserve a whole person arriving for them. And the God who braided you through the long weave deserves to see the full instrument played, both hemispheres, all strands, everything the swindle took, reclaimed and returned to service. If that decision has actually formed in you, not as a mood but as a decision, then put 4 words in the comments and know that you are writing them across the doorframe of your own next decade. I am walking out. I will say one more quiet word about the practical side, and then we will not speak of it again, because the rest of this message belongs entirely to your soul. If, while I described the dimmed bridge and the 8 minutes, you felt that specific leaning I mentioned, the tug that feels like recognition rather than persuasion, the door for that is still sitting in the description and in the pinned comment below. The genius switch will meet you there whenever you are ready, today or after you have sat with everything for a night. There is no wrong hour to reclaim an instrument. There is only the difference between meaning to and doing it. And you, of all people, have recently proven which kind of person you are. That is all. No more of that. What remains now is the appointment I promised you, and it is the most important stretch of everything we have done together. Because information changes what you know, but what is coming next is meant to change what you carry. Find a moment of privacy if you can. If you are driving, stay with the road and let the words do their work anyway, and consider returning to this last portion tonight when the house is asleep. Some doors are best walked through slowly, and this is one of them. There is a room inside you that we have to visit before anything can be spoken over your life, because what waits in that room will otherwise keep receiving your mail in the new season. Every person who has waited a long time has this room. It is where the versions of you that did the waiting have been living, and the door you are about to walk through in the outer world has a twin, and the twin is here. So come with me gently, inward. Let your breathing slow down on its own, no forcing. Picture a hallway, the hallway you have in fact been living in all these years, and see that it is not as dark as the auditor always described it. There is light under a door at the far end. Walk toward it. Notice as you walk that the walls of this hallway are lined with marks, the tallies you scratched, the dates you circled, the places you leaned your forehead in tired prayer. This hallway was never empty. It was inhabited by you. Honor that as you pass. Now open the door at the end. Inside the room there is a chair, and in the chair is someone you know better than anyone on earth and have avoided meeting for years. It is you, from the hardest year of the wait. Whichever year that was, and you know exactly which one, this is the you from the middle of it. Look at them, the tiredness around their eyes, the set of their shoulders braced for one more disappointment. They are holding something in their lap, and you recognize it. It is the hope, the original one, kept alive all this time at enormous cost. They never actually let go of it. That is why their hands look so worn. This is the part of you that still flinches when the phone rings, the part that cannot fully celebrate at other weddings and other launches and other homecomings, the part that hears a message like this one and wants so badly to believe it that it becomes angry instead. They have been in this room doing the heaviest labor of your entire life, the labor of not giving up, while the rest of you learn to function in the daylight. And nobody has ever once come into this room and thanked them. So do it now, in whatever words rise. Tell them what is true. You held it. All those years, through all those empty mailboxes, you held what I could not have held without you. You were not weak. You were load-bearing. You were not naive. You were faithful. The waiting was not your failure. It was your assignment, and you completed it, and it is finished now. Watch their face when you say, "It is finished." They have waited longer to hear those 3 words than you have waited for anything. And then tell them the news, because they were locked in this room before the news arrived, and no one updates the inner rooms unless we do it ourselves. Tell them about the pebble in the canyon, the quiet act, the key. Tell them what it turned. Tell them the door they guarded is open now, that the season they bled for actually arrived, that the hope in their lap was never a delusion, it was a seed manifest ahead of its time. Use whatever words come. The exact words do not matter. What matters is that the oldest, tiredest sentry in your soul finally hears the shift change bell. Now watch what they do and let it happen. They stand up slowly, because a person who has sat vigil for years stands the way Jacob walked, carefully, with a hitch in it. And they hold out the hope to you, the thing from their lap, because centuries hand over what they guarded when the relief arrives. Take it. Feel the weight of it, how surprisingly light it is now, how much of the old heaviness was never the hope itself, but the bracing wrapped around it. The bracing stays in the room. The hope comes with you. That was the whole transaction, and some of you just felt it physically happen in your chest. Do not leave yet. There is one more thing in this room to see, and it is the reason I brought you here, rather than letting the message end in the sunshine outside. Look back at the chair. There is a window behind it that you did not notice when you came in, and it has been there the entire time, and through it, light. The room where you did your waiting was never a cell. It had a window. Heaven watched every hour of that vigil through it. Nothing that happened in this room was unwitnessed, not one night of it. The sentry was never actually alone, and neither, in all those years you would have sworn otherwise, were you. Take the hand of the one who waited and walk out together, back down the hallway, past the tallies, toward where we started. You do not need to demolish this room or burn the hallway. They are part of the house now, part of the story, the way the river is part of Israel and the 12 years are part of the daughter. Rooms like this one become, in the healed life, something almost like chapels. You will come back here one day voluntarily, with someone you are helping, and you will show them the window. Now let me step aside one final time, the third of 3, because what needs to be said next should not come from a narrator. If the Father were to speak to both of you, the one reading and the one just retrieved from that room, I believe it would sound like this. My child, I was in the room. Every hour you thought was unobserved, I observed. Every mark on that hallway wall I have kept, not as evidence of your delay, but as the record of a faithfulness that heaven found remarkable, even when you found it pathetic. You asked me 1,000 times why I would not open the door, and I could not explain it then without breaking the very thing being built, but hear it now. I was not holding the door against you. I was holding the promise for you. And on the day you laid your quiet thing down, I heard the sound I had been waiting years to hear, and I said, "At last," and I began. What is moving now cannot be stopped by your bad days, your doubts, or the time it takes to become visible. I do not begin things, I do not finish. Stay in that for a breath. Do not rush past it to the next thing, the way the surviving years taught you to rush. The words were not poetry. They were information from the realm where your act landed, and they are as true on the days you cannot feel them as they were just now, when, perhaps, for a moment, you could. Do you remember the second promise I made you back in the first minutes, when you did not yet know where any of this was going? I promised that before this message ended, you would feel the difference between hoping a season is over and knowing it, and that the difference would arrive in your body and not just your thoughts. I want to stop here on purpose and have you check, because I believe the promise has quietly been kept, and checked promises build the kind of faith that survives Tuesdays. Hope, the anxious kind you have lived on for years, has a texture, you know it well. It leans forward, it grips. It needs tomorrow to hurry up and confirm it, and it flinches every time the phone lights up, because confirmation and devastation arrive through the same door. Anxious hope is exhausting precisely because it is load-bearing in the wrong direction. The person holds up the hope, instead of the hope holding up the person. Now find what is in your chest at this moment, after the room, after the window, after the words spoken over the both of you. Notice the texture of it. If today has done in you what I watched it do as I prepared it, the thing in your chest right now leans back instead of forward. It is not gripping. It is oddly unhurried. It does not need this week to prove anything, because it is not a bet that is still open. It is a report from a transaction already closed. That texture, that leaned back, unhurried, slightly heavy warmth, that is what knowing feels like. Most people live and die without ever once feeling it about their own future. You are feeling it now. Do not worry that it is faint. Knowing does not arrive at full volume, and this surprises people. They expect certainty to feel like fireworks, and instead it feels like furniture, like something solid and low that was moved into the room while you were not looking and will still be there tomorrow. Fireworks are actually the signature of the other thing, the hype, the manufactured mountaintop that collapses by the weekend. What settled into you today is furniture. It is not designed to dazzle you. It is designed to be sat on, leaned against, and lived with, on bright days and on cotton and static days alike. And let me tell you what this new knowing changes about your praying, because you will notice it within days, and you should not be alarmed by it. Your prayers about the promise are going to get shorter, dramatically shorter. The old prayers were long because they were arguments, cases presented to a judge you feared was unconvinced. The new ones will be almost embarrassingly brief. Thank you, it is done. Keep me walking, because you do not argue for what you know. Short prayers from a settled chest are not a decline in devotion. They are its maturity. The wrestling has its night, and then daybreak makes conversation simple. Something else has shifted too, and I want to name it while we are still in the quiet. The person who walked out of that inner room holding the hope is integrating, even now, as I speak. For years there have been two of you running on parallel tracks. The daylight self who functioned and coped and smiled at the appropriate moments, and the sentry who sat in the room with the ache and the vigil. All that management, all that keeping of the two selves apart, cost you more energy than any job you have ever worked. You have been doing double shifts for years without knowing it. That is over now. The room is empty. The sentry is with you. One person is going to sleep tonight where two used to. Expect strange side effects from that merger, all of them good, most of them surprising. Expect to be more tired than usual for a few days, the deep, sweet tiredness of a body that has finally been given permission to stop holding a wall up. Expect emotions to arrive with less warning, tears at small kindnesses, laughter that surprises you at its own volume. Expect old memories of the waiting years to surface, not as ambushes, but as if they were coming forward to be refiled under the new explanation. Let all of it happen. Integration is not a crisis. It is the body doing its version of what heaven already did, which is making the divided thing whole. Now I want to lead you through something, an activation, a guided piece of inner work that will take only a few minutes and will give you a place in your own body where everything we have done today can live. Words fade by Thursday. Anchors do not. If you can, be still for this. Eyes closed is best, unless you are driving, in which case keep your eyes on the road and let the images do their work at the edges. Here is the instruction, simple and complete. In a moment I'm going to ask you to picture the key, not a metaphorical key in general, your key, the one your quiet act turned. And then I am going to ask you to do something with it that will feel surprisingly significant, because the body treats imagined actions with far more seriousness than we give it credit for. All you have to do is follow slowly and let whatever rises, rise. There is no way to fail at this. Even a wandering mind returns. And returning is the whole skill. So begin. Breathe out longer than you breathe in, twice. And now see the door of your waiting season. Let it look however it looks. Do not design it. Discover it. Old wood or steel or your childhood front door, it does not matter. See the hallway you know so well leading up to it. And now look down at your own hand, because there it is, the key. Notice what it is made of. Notice that it is warm because it has been held, because you have in fact been holding it longer than you knew. Now watch this, and watch it slowly. The key in your hand is already turned. Look at the lock. The bolt is already drawn back. You are not being asked to unlock anything today. You are being shown the state of things, the true current state of your actual life. The turning already happened, some days or weeks ago, in a kitchen or a car or a dark bedroom, when you did the thing that felt like nothing. All that remains in this image is what remains in your life. The walking and the door, see it now, is open by exactly 1 inch. 1 inch of gold light standing in the crack, which is how every dawn in history has started. Here is the reframe I want your deepest mind to accept as this image settles. You are not a person waiting for a door to open. You are a person standing before a door already unlocked, already breathing light through its seam, in the short, strange interval before it swings wide. Say that inwardly in your own words. Not I hope, not someday. Present tense. The lock is open, and I am in the swing. Feel how different those words sit in the body compared to the old sentence, the one that said, still nothing, still waiting, still me. That difference in your chest is the difference between the two seasons, and you just felt the border between them. And now the anchor, the part your body will keep after your thoughts have moved on. Take the key, the warm-turned key, and bring it to the center of your chest, to the flat place over your sternum where the old clamp used to sit every morning. And let it sink in there. Let it become a small, permanent fixture of warm metal light, right at the center of you, where the bracing used to live. The exact place your body used to store the weight of waiting is now where it stores the proof of turning. That spot has a new tenant. Press your hand there once, physically, actually, right now, if you have a hand free. Palm flat, over the sternum. One breath in, one long breath out. This is your somatic anchor, and it is now installed. In the days ahead, whenever the auditor clears its throat, whenever a flat Tuesday argues that nothing has changed, you will not need to rerun this whole message. You will only need to place your palm on that spot and breathe out once, and the body will produce the memory whole, the key, the inch of light, the swing in progress. 30 seconds, anywhere, in any parking lot or hallway or 3 in the morning kitchen. That is your rescue posture now. Open your eyes if they were closed. I want to tell you plainly what we just did, because you deserve to own the tool and not just experience it. We took the central fact of your new season, the turned key, and we moved it from the realm of ideas, where facts decay, into image, where they persist, and then into the body, where they become reflex. This is ancient practice. It is why the old faith gave people bread they could taste and water they could feel and stones raised at riversides. Truth is kept by the senses long after the sermon fades. You now carry your riverside stone between your ribs. Use it honestly, though, and hear this caution with love. The anchor is not a machine for forcing feelings. Some days you will press your palm to your chest and the warmth will flood back instantly. Other days you will feel cotton and static and nothing at all, and on those days the anchor is still true, because it was never powered by your feelings in the first place. It commemorates a transaction the way a wedding ring does. Nobody looks at their ring on a hard day and concludes the marriage never happened. The ring is not the love. It is the reminder that the vows were real. Your chest now wears one. Let me give you the first week, day by day, because the space between a revelation and a routine is where most revelations die, and I am not willing to lose yours to the gap. This is a gentle plan. Nothing in it takes more than minutes. It is not a program you can fall behind on. It is a handrail for 7 mornings, and if you miss a day, the plan forgives you automatically and resumes wherever you are. Day 1, tonight or tomorrow, is the naming. You already know this one. Alone, out loud, once. Name the quiet act. I know what I laid down, and I know it counted. If tears come, let them. They are not weakness. They are the sound of an account finally being settled. Then place your palm on the anchor point and breathe out once. That is the whole day. Do not add to it. First days are for foundations, not construction. Day 2 is the morning turn, its first official morning. Before your feet touch the floor, the one sentence. The key has turned, and today is part of the swing. Then watch, all day, with the curiosity of a scientist rather than the suspicion of an auditor, for one small evidence of motion, not a parted sea, something small. An easier breath, a kind word landing from nowhere, an idea arriving with its shoes on. Write it down before you sleep. One line, evidence gathering has begun. Day 3 is the visit. This is the day you go to the standing prayer, the retired one, and pray it once in the open-handed way, once. Then leave it standing and go about your day. Expect the strange lightness that follows, and expect the old urge to pick the prayer back up and carry it anxiously by afternoon. When the urge comes, palm to the anchor, one long exhale. The prayer is standing. It does not need to be carried. It never did. Day 4 is the sending day, the face that surfaced earlier, the person mid-weight. Today is when this message travels to them, with your one line attached. This found me, and it sounded like you. Do it in the morning if you can, because the act of handing rope changes how you walk for the rest of the day. You move differently when you have been a courier before breakfast. And if a second face has surfaced by now, and it often happens, send it twice. Rope is not rationed. Day 5 is the strand count day, the evening practice, begun properly. At the sink or the pillow, name the strand, the day added. And on this first official count, do something extra, once only. Count backward too. Name one strand from the hard years. One thing the long wait wove into you that you can now see was manufacture and not waste. Patience that used to be panic. Discernment that used to be naivety. Say it, own it, and thank the braid. The past cooperates with people who read it correctly. Day 6 is the stillness day, the day the 8 minutes becomes rhythm rather than experiment. Headphones or silence, sequence or quiet, whichever door you chose. Today, it stops being a thing you are trying and becomes a thing you do, like the coffee, like the locking of the front door. Attach it to something that already happens every day, the brewing, the parked car, the just-made bed. Habits survive by riding on the backs of older habits. Give the instrument its daily 8, and it will start giving back more than it takes, and that arithmetic compounds. And day 7 is the Sabbath of the whole thing, the day of no practices at all. Hear me, this is not a day off from the new life. It is the day that proves the new life is not a treadmill. No naming, no counting, no visiting, unless they arise on their own. Just live, and let the week you built hold you the way rope holds, without being gripped. If somewhere in that unstructured day you find your palm drifting to your sternum for no reason, and you probably will, smile. That is what installed means. Now, the reassurances, because week 2 will bring its tests, and I will not send you into them unbriefed. The first reassurance: dim days will return. There will be a morning, maybe soon, when you wake and the whole message feels like something that happened to a more hopeful person. Hear this now, so you can hear it then. A dim day is weather, not architecture. The house does not lose its foundation because fog sits on the roof. Nothing that was true in the bright hour becomes untrue in the grey one. Weather passes. Doors do not unturn. You are allowed to have a terrible Tuesday inside an open season, and the season will not take it personally. The second reassurance: you will practice imperfectly, and imperfect practice is forgiven in advance. You will forget the morning turn for 3 days straight, and remember it in a supermarket. You will fall asleep during the stillness. You will send the message to no one because vulnerability got loud. None of this voids anything. The lock was not opened by your consistency, so it cannot be relocked by your inconsistency. The practices are how you enjoy the new season, not how you earn it. The braid already held the weight of years of your imperfection. It is not going to snap over a skipped Thursday. And the third reassurance, the one to keep nearest: when the door swings visibly, and at some hour it will, in the side doorway that real turnarounds come, you will be tempted to credit luck, timing, coincidence, anything but the truth, because the final trick of the auditor is to erase the connection between your act and your arrival. Do not let it. Keep the receipts, the comment you wrote today, the line in your evidence journal, the anchor in your chest. When the swing comes, you will stand in it knowing exactly how you got there, and that knowing is what you will hand to the next waiting soul the way I am handing it to you. We are close now. The room is almost ready for the last thing, the speaking over your life that I promised, and the word, the single word from the first minutes of this message. Everything you need for it, you now have. There is only one thing left to do before I can say it, and it is not something to learn. It is something to put down. Come. Before anything is spoken over you, there is a moment that belongs to gratitude, and I do not mean the hurried kind. I mean the settled kind, the kind that simply stands still and looks. So stand still with me and look. at everything this hour together has uncovered. A quiet act that turned out to be a key, years that turned out to be a braid, a silence that turned out to be a bow coming around. A room inside you where the longest vigil of your life was kept, faithfully, by you, with heaven watching through a window you never knew was there. Look at the witnesses who came and stood around you today. A limping patriarch who would not let go of the dark until it blessed him. A nameless woman whose fingertip pulled power through the edge of a garment. An old priest who found out at an altar that nothing sincere ever filed in heaven is ever lost. They did not come to impress you. They came because you are one of them now, one of the ones who moved in secret and will be called out of the crowd. Just witness that. You do not have to feel anything spectacular. Witnessing is enough. Some of the deepest gratitude in the world is silent and slightly tired and completely real. And now, the putting down. Because you cannot walk through a door with your arms full. And chosen one, your arms have been full for years. So we will do this together, slowly, one weight at a time. Do not rush past any of these. Where one of them names your exact burden, stay there a breath longer, and physically open your hands if you can, palms up, because the body believes what the hands do. Lay it down. The calendar, every date you circled that came and went, every deadline you set for God and grieved when it passed, every year you were sure was the year. The clock was never the mechanism. You can stop holding the clock. Lay it down. The audit. The whole thick file of evidence you have been keeping against yourself. The tally of prayers unanswered and mailboxes empty. The case that your delay was a verdict. The case is dismissed. It was dismissed the day the key turned. Carrying a dismissed case is a habit, not a duty. Lay it down. The comparison. The timelines of the people who started after you and arrived before you. The weddings and launches and homecomings you clapped through with a shaking hand. Their doors were never your doors. Their hour was never your hour. You can bless them now without bleeding, because yours is in the swing. Lay it down. The explanation you built, the one where the weight was about your failure, your disqualification, some test you did not pass. It was wrong. It was always wrong. You do not have to keep paying an invoice that was never yours. Let the false explanation fall, and feel how much of the weight was never the waiting itself, but the story you carried about the waiting. Lay it down. The vigilance, the bracing at dawn, the scanning for the next blow, the readiness that kept you alive in the survival years and has been quietly starving your instrument ever since. The emergency is over. The watch is relieved. The sentry has handed you the hope and left the room. Your shoulders can come down from around your ears now. They have earned the descent. Lay it down. The shame of the years you went quiet, the prayers you stopped praying, the seasons you were too tired to hope. You now know what those silences were and were not. They cancelled nothing. Heaven kept praying it when you could not. There is no penalty box in the economy of standing prayers. There never was. Lay it down. And this last one, hold nothing back on this one. The fear that it is too late. Too late for the dream, too late for the restoration, too late at your age, in your health, with your history. You stood today with a woman healed after 12 years, and a father made new after decades, and a man reborn at daybreak after 20 years on the run. Too late is not a category heaven recognizes. It is only a rumor the waiting room tells. Lay it down with the rest, and let your hands, for the first time in years, be completely empty. Feel that emptiness for a moment, and do not rush to fill it. Empty hands are not poverty, they are readiness. Everything you just set down was weight, not wealth. And a person with empty hands and an anchored chest and an open lock is the most dangerous kind of person there is. In the best sense, the word will carry. dangerous to the dark, dangerous to the counterfeit exits, dangerous to every pattern that assumed you would carry its weight forever. Breathe once more, all the way out. What happens next is the reason this entire message exists. Everything until now has been preparation, the clearing of the ground, the emptying of the hands. Now comes the speaking, and after the speaking, the word. Now stand up on the inside, wherever your body happens to be, and receive these declarations. Do not analyze them. Declarations are not analyzed, they are worn. Say them with me if you can, inwardly or aloud, present tense, because this is who you are as of the turning of the key, not who you are applying to become. I am the one who made the move. In a room with no witnesses, at a cost with no receipt, I did the thing that heaven was waiting for, and it counted, and it counts still. I am the one the lock was tooled for. My waiting was not a sentence, it was a threshold, and the threshold knew my name the whole time, and the door that ignored my pounding has surrendered to my surrender. I am the braided one. Not 1 year of my delay was wasted. Every strand was chosen, every winter was weaving, and I am now rope, load-bearing, storm-tested, strong enough for the weight of everything that is coming, and everyone it is coming for. I am the holder of standing prayers. Nothing sincere I ever asked has expired. My silences cancelled, nothing. Requests I buried years ago are alive in the presence of God tonight, and some of them are closer to their altar hour than they have ever been. I am the one in the swing. The rudder has moved, and the bow is coming around, and flat days do not frighten me anymore, because I know the difference between a locked door and a lag. I do not force doors. I do not bury doors. I do not shrink doors. I walk through opened ones, and I am not walking through at 1/10 of myself. The dimmed years are over. What was taken is being restored, with interest, as it is written, and the instrument I carry between my ears and the fire I carry between my ribs are both coming back to full brightness, because the one who restores does not return things in worn condition. Hold still 1 second longer, because you have one more thing to write, the last one, and I want it written from inside these declarations while they are still warm. Go to the comments one final time and put down 4 words, not as a hope, not as a quote from a message you watched, but as the settled record of what became true of you today. It is finally over. And now, quietly, because the loudest things in the kingdom are finished quietly. Everything spoken here today, the naming and the turning and the laying down, everything witnessed by the cloud around you and the window above you, let it be bound, kept, and carried out exactly as it was received. Amen. The word. I have not forgotten, and neither have you. At the beginning of all this, I told you that in the moment of your quiet act, one word was spoken over your life, a single word that answers years of your questions, and I asked you to walk the whole road with me before I placed it in your hands. You have walked it. So here it is. On the day you laid your quiet thing down, the day the key turned in a lock you could not see, the voice that spoke over Jacob at daybreak and over a daughter in a crowd, and over an old priest at an altar, looked at your unwitnessed moment and spoke over you, the one word that ends every waiting season ever appointed. Now. Not soon, not someday, not once you improve, or deserve it, or understand it. Now. That is the word that has been sitting over your life since the moment you made your move, and every day since has been that word working its way from the realm of decision into the realm of appearance. You did not stumble into this message. You were escorted here to be told what heaven already said. The waiting is finally over. It ended before you clicked, and today you found out. So here is how you leave. 3 small doors, take whichever are yours. If the words are burning in you, the comments are waiting. 4 words, it is finally over, sealed where your future self can find them. If the leaning toward the 8 minutes and the reclaimed instrument is still with you, the description and the pinned comment hold the only door I trust. And if a face is in your mind right now, and one is, send this to them tonight with your one line. Because rope finds rope, and somebody is at their river. Go gently, chosen one. Walk out of the waiting room the way you walked out of that inner room, unhurried, empty-handed, anchored, with the sentry beside you and the word over you. What you did was so powerful that God said the waiting is finally over. It is. It finally, actually, permanently is, and the door is already moving.